right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lech, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party. Welcome. Very good to see you all. I don't know if you guys saw the episode, but you definitely saw the thumbnail. Charlie Kirk becomes Cartman, and a lot of people are angry that Charlie is not angry about it. So I figured, it's a Friday night in the middle of summer. What better way to celebrate that level of pop culture breaking through with some Charlie Kirk's stuff, exactly what they were covering. So let's dive right in. Oh, is Morty coming through? Nope, Morty is going over there. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Howdy, Charlie. My name's Colton Craig. Thank you for coming out. What is your favorite thing about Texas A&M or tradition? And do you think the Aggies are going to sweep UT in Austin this weekend?
Oh, is there a baseball game?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I don't pay attention to college baseball. I will say, though, I hope you guys beat them in football this fall.
Yes, sir.
The rivalry is back, right?
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Finally. What was it, dead for like 10 years?
Something like that.
Who won the last one before was it UT or I think it was really close, right?
UT walked it off.
It was a very controversial game, if I remember. What's my favorite thing about Texas A&M? Well, you guys aren't as liberal as UT, so that helps.
Yes, sir.
I said as liberal, right? There's still some libs, right?
Yes,
but no, it's a great school, and I have to say, Texas A&M faculty administration have been great to work with. They've been phenomenal. And secondly, and I think really importantly, I love the Corps cadets. I love the respect towards the military, and I met one of the yell leaders. That's a goofy thing you guys do, but it's fun. I love A&M.
What the hell is a yell leader?
And I think there's some things that could be improved, but overall, it's a good example of how college should be.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And if you disagree, we'll work your way up. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Peyton.
So I think they start with a bunch of glazers, and then the disagreements work their way forwards.
Huge fan. I don't know if you heard what happened a couple weeks ago here on campus regarding the annual drag queen show they have, and it's a student-ran group they call themselves Draggy Land, and they have anyway, the board of A&M and the president said that they couldn't have the event because it was demeaning to women and vulgar and against our core values. And then a trans group of liberals, they went down to a judge in Houston and they said that it was no more demeaning than a beauty pageant. So then they ended up having the show. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
I don't know all the details around it. I mean,
as long as there's no kids, I honestly don't care. It's at a college campus, whatever. You don't like it, don't go. It's when we're going to elementary schools that it's really a problem.
The only reason I'm torn is that everyone here is an adult. So
exactly.
I mean, I'm not huge about prohibiting speech. I do think, though, that minors should not be allowed to go to drag queens. That number one, I think it's child abuse and grooming of children. But look, I don't know the details of what this group would want to do, but you know you're losing if you're on a political side that is fighting for illegal alien gang members and drag story hour and drag queens on college campuses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, I mean, and that seems to be like maybe we should just take the L here. Maybe we should just take the L here because there's so many other things that we can fight and actually have some semblance of winning. Drag Queen Story Hour ain't it?
I don't know all the details around it, but what else were the elements surrounding the case?
Well, I don't know much. I saw them protesting here at the quad, and they were like, I don't know, they were just like awful, saying awful things.
Cool story.
Things, wearing awful things, and then they ended up selling their tickets for free because no one wanted to go.
Go figure. No one wants to watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's the point. That's exactly the point. Nobody wanted to go. So why do you need to take time to fight them? When there's other things that, 5 years ago, that was something at the forefront of the political battleground, if you want to call it that. But we've moved on from that.
Thank you.
So now, do you say gig 'em or howdy or both? Which one is it?
What?
Both. So gig 'em. All right, there you go. Yes, sir.
Hey, Charlie. My name is Robert. How are you doing today? Oh, okay. So I'd like to address the elephant in the room, if that's okay with you. So, are you familiar with the court case in the movie Ted 2? So basically,
I don't think so.
Ted wanted to adopt a child, but wasn't a person in the court of law. And so my question to you is, do you think Ted deserved these civil rights, considering he was conscious and had beliefs and values of himself, even though he wasn't human?
So, I mean, this takes a lot of wind out of the kid's sails that Charlie doesn't know the story, because that's not a terrible question. It's a good way to phrase it in like an easy to understand pop culture way of Ted. But yeah, I don't agree.
Probably not. You got to inform me though. So Ted is the teddy bear, right?
Yeah, Ted is the teddy bear, and he wanted to adopt a kid with Tammy Lynn, but he wasn't a human in the court of law. So. But I mean,
so why didn't Tammy Lynn just adopt a kid?
Person in the court of law. Everyone knows he's not a human. But I just feel like he did deserve civil rights. That's how it ended. He ended up appealing the decision, and he got the civil rights. But I just feel like he deserved those civil rights because he's conscious, he has his values, and he's able to feel, and he's affected by what he's voting on.
But he's not a human.
But when have we ever had someone that's not human be conscious?
I mean, well, by conscious or self-aware. I mean, those are two different.
He's both.
Both.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, there is an interesting conversation to be had here, and it's just undercut by the fact that Charlie is like, oh, this is some cartoon thing.
No, I don't know the biochemistry of Ted and Ted 2, but you have to
he was a teddy bear from Hasbro Gaming.
Oh, and who magically came to life.
Yeah.
So, got it.
So
I'll have to look more into
okay,
the
but for now, your answer is no.
Yeah, I think human beings should only be able to adopt human beings. Yeah.
That's respectable. Could you sign my hat?
Happily, yes, thank you.
He doesn't even think gay humans should be able to adopt people. Why do you think he would think that teddy bears could adopt people?
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, who's up?
Bring him out. Bring him out.
Howdy, my name is Ella.
Howdy.
And I know you don't believe in college, but my question will just prove your point further. I've been in a lot of classes where I've been asked to write from a perspective I don't necessarily agree with. For example, writing about how the built environment creates burdens specifically for women and gender minorities, or having to assess what level of racism I am after watching a DEI training YouTube video. I'm concerned that if I challenge these ideas or offer a different viewpoint, I'll be graded unfairly. What advice do you have to students who feel pressured to conform to progressive ideologies in the classroom to protect their GPA?
I mean, you're already there. You're already there. The ideal situation is that you're not going to a liberal college, but you're already enrolled. You're already dependent on your grades. So I would say just, know that you have your own ideas and understand that you are just playing a game. And that's all it is. It's a game to get grades, to get your degree, to go on and whatever. There's not really a reason to cause an issue there. You're not going to change the professor's mind. You're gonna get, like, the rest of the class isn't gonna take you seriously. So just go through it and know that this isn't what I believe.
Let me ask, how many of you guys feel as if you were to take a conservative position, you would be graded downward in your class? Look around. I don't know, maybe A&M needs got to get some work to do. Geez, that's not good. I personally.
So again, yeah, with all of those people there, you're not changing anybody's mind. You're not doing anything but hurting yourself.
Look, there is something to be said about writing about an opinion that you don't agree with. It actually pushes your intellectual abilities. But to have it make it your own, or if you get downgraded when you say to the teacher, hey, I'd much prefer, let's say it's abortion, I'd much rather write pro-life than pro-choice, then I would not be able to personally do that. I don't think you should ever attribute something to your own name that you don't believe in. Even if you get downgraded, I think that lying is way worse than getting a bad grade.
I mean, I get, it's constant categorical imperatives. What is wrong, and what's right is right, and lying is wrong, and honesty and truth is right. But like, it just gets down to this level that really, like, I guess I can't argue with that. But when it comes to the practicality of lowering your own grades just to stand up at a liberal college, is that worth it? I would say no. It
actually impacts your soul and your character and deteriorates who you are.
That's it.
It's not going to matter 10 years from now, all the grades you get in college. It'll
matter if you fail out of college.
It will matter the type of person that you are. It will matter the decisions that you make, and every decision that you make ends up being an embodiment of who you are as a person. So,
and again, I don't disagree with that, but I think there's also something to be said about the person who you are, understanding the context of whatever scenario you are in, and doing what is most practical and going to have the best outcome for you. Eventually, whatever it is that you're here at college for is, for your future, for your family. And so, I'm not saying you're going to fail out of, it's worth it to fail out of college. I don't think Charlie is saying that either. But I do think that, let's say she was on the verge of failing out of college, and all she has to do is write a paper in not even saying that she is pro-abortion, but she just has to write the argument of a pro-abortion argument, and that saves her from getting kicked out of college. Is it really worth being true to your soul to spend all that money and have all that debt to get kicked out of college? I don't know, man. I don't know. I agree with the basic principle, but at a certain point, practicality comes in.
Thank you. Yes,
Hope that helps.
Can you sign my hat?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Charlie. So my question was, do you think that it's okay for a government to send someone to a jail for the rest of their lives without charging or convicting them of a crime?
Here we go.
Government to send someone to a jail for the rest of their lives without charging or convicting them of a crime?
Well, it depends if they're an American citizen.
So no, pursuant to the language of the Constitution, it does not depend on if they're an American
Well, so there's
citizen.
3 ways to deport somebody in
Well, what is the fourth? The fourth amendment. Which fourth is cruel and unusual punishment, right? Amendment. Cruel and unusual punishment. That's the 8th Amendment. Okay, so let's just do 8th Amendment. I want to get the actual text. Just give me the wiki. Excessive bail shall be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor I want the actual text. There we go. Not explained. 8th Amendment. Jesus Christ. 8th Amendment, full text. Is that really the whole text? So if that's all it is, then it doesn't say persons or humans. So interesting.
Pursuant to the language of the Constitution, it does not depend on if they're an American
Well, so there's
citizen.
3 ways to deport somebody in America. What are those 3 ways?
I know are you talking about under the Alien Enemies
Well,
Act?
there's Alien Enemies Act, expedited release, or traditional discharging with due process. So which one did Kilmar Abrego Garcia fall under, and why?
Well, I'm just asking,
That's
just for the first
expedited,
question.
right?
Do you think it's okay for a government to send someone for a jail to
Well,
the rest of their
it
lives?
depends who the someone is, right? So if the someone
See, I would disagree here with Charlie, and I would say no, that even if you're an illegal immigrant, it is not okay to just lock you up in jail forever.
is a foreign illegal MS-13 gang member from an occupying
It's totally okay to lock you up and then send you the fuck out of here, just not lock you up forever.
force sent by a foreign government,
That's
then so be
not
it.
true, Charlie.
In fact, actually, let's look at his tattoos. What do his tattoos say? What do you think?
Well, they
That
don't
looks
say
like
MS-13.
MS-13, doesn't it?
No. One's a leaf, one's a face, and we don't know what the other ones are.
Marijuana, smiley face,
So-
1-3.
So those
Not to mention, actually, I have the documents here because I figured that this was going to come up. In fact, I knew
Okay.
this was going to come up.
Yeah.
You see how angry the left gets about illegal MS-13 gang members? If only they fought for American citizens that hard. If only they fought for Americans that hard.
If only.
In fact, I have all the stats here. In 2019, he petitioned to the court that he cannot be sent back to El Salvador because another gang might hurt him.
And was he granted the withholding of removal order? That
However,
prevented
what
him
the
from
court
being-
said is that you could be deported at any time for any reason. You could be scooped up without due process. You know, the court said this. The only country you're not allowed to be sent back to, ironically, was El Salvador. Now, so hilariously,
And that's what the
hilariously,
government did.
So yeah, it was wrong that he was sent to El Salvador, not that he was deported.
1 second, that was under the traditional deportation, not under the AEA, the Alien Enemies Act. Hilariously, if we would have sent him to the Congo or sent him to Gitmo, there's nothing that ever would have been the issue.
Mhm.
But
Now,
that's
let's
what you
talk about the specifics of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's a wife-beating MS-13 member that was documented in multiple instances of wearing MS-13 gang paraphernalia
The fact of the matter
and has MS-13 tattoos, and now is
Charlie.
back. Let's just be clear. He's back in the country he was raised in.
that-
Is he a U.S. passport
Charlie,
holder?
Charlie, this has been litigated by the Maryland District Court, the Fourth Circuit, and just real quick, let me finish with this.
Right, and they all determined that based on the parameters to be here, it was totally fine that he gets the fuck out.
If you believe him to be an MS-13 member, I agree with all of you guys. If there's someone that's an MS-13 member that's dangerous and violent, get them to a hearing, which is what
Well,
our
they
Constitution
did.
requires, and have the judge decide on
They
it.
did, but
the
that's
judge
the
is who
point.
has final
The-
say
the
in
ju-
that.
the judge
so
said-
why are
the-
you authoritative? Like
The judge said,
autocratically?
you got your facts on. The judge said
No.
he could be deported at any time without any more due process. The only country you can't be sent back to is El Salvador. So I will grant you.
But that's
but maybe we should not have sent him to that specific country. However, though, that's the country he's from.
But okay,
So-
so regardless of, I didn't even bring up the Garcia case
But
initially.
obviously, you're heavily
I'm
implying.
talking.
it.
There's 300 people in which the data says 75% of them have no U.S. criminal records, and yet they were
Oh,
still.
they should all go home.
Okay.
If you are an illegal alien in America, you should be sent back to your country of origin.
Exactly. So the guy came in with the wrong question. The question shouldn't have been, should the government be able to lock people up forever? Because that's not what the government is doing. But, if you'd asked, should the government be able to round up people and send them back to the country they came from? He'd be like, yeah.
Every single one of them should be deported back to their country.
With the proper
period.
due process that the
It
14th
depends.
Amendment requires, right?
It depends.
How
Or
is it-
that if Alien Enemies Act,
Okay.
expedited. So you got to tell me now, because you came up here with a contention.
Yeah.
What is the expedited removal process? Because the Supreme Court in 2019 ruled on what is called expedited removal. Do you know about this?
The Supreme Court just ruled 9-0.
No, they didn't.
that
They put a stay on the Alien Enemies Act. In June, they will author whether or not it's still constitutional.
Okay.
The Alien Enemies Act has been around since 1798. It was used 3 times prior. However, to the expedited release, the Supreme Court said you do not need to give due process to an illegal alien that is within 100 miles of the southern border or has been here less than 14 days. The Supreme Court said that. You do not have to give due process.
I like that.
Okay,
So
I like that a lot.
therefore,
First of all, that wasn't Abrego Garcia, and that wasn't many people.
However, yes, so he fell under the
So that's where this kid needs to go and be like, you brought up Kilmore Abrego Garcia. We can have the issues with that, but I'm just talking about the issue itself. If he'd gone down that road, then it would have been better. But
Alien Enemies Act. For the other individuals, they can and will get due process until the court rules differently.
Okay, so then question on the Alien Removals Act. It's technically supposed to be a wartime act, but the justification is that Tren de Aragua has infiltrated the Venezuelan government to make
It's
it.
not an accusation. It's by their own admission and by
Okay.
intelligence agencies
So
outside of our own country that have said this.
So 4 days ago, the U.S. intelligence assessment found no coordination between TDA and Venezuelan government. That was drawing from all of our U.S. 18 intelligence agencies. So if that's not true, that TDA is not in coordination with the Venezuelan government.
This case was MS-13. But again, so there's other...
I'm talking about anybody that was
yeah, Charlie keeps trying to bring it back to Garcia.
deported without a hearing, which is what Supreme Court precedent.
College kid needs to be like, I don't care about that guy. I'm not talking about that. You keep trying to bring it back to that because you know the details on that, and there's some way that you can wiggle out of it, which would be the case. But he's not making that argument.
Anybody that was deported without a hearing, which is what Supreme Court precedent all the way back to 1903.
You're
says that
misrepresenting it. Garcia did have years of hearings.
See, and right back to Garcia.
The judge scheduled him for deportation.
In which he
the
showed-
judge warned him. He said, at any time, Mr. Garcia, you could be scooped up in the middle of the night. You should read the charging documents from the court. The judge said, at any time, you could be scooped up. And he said, I'm going to stay here anyway. The judge warned him, you are not safe to stay here.
Well, okay, but back to this, back to the 300 people that did not have due process that were deported under the Alien Enemies Act.
There you go.
If it's not true that the TDA is in coordination with the Venezuelan government, then why is that still happening?
Again, I challenge that information
4 days
significantly.
ago, U.S.
Okay, I'll
intelligence
take a look
report
at that,
from
and if so, I'll reconsider my position.
But
So-
and then back to the initial question. So you do think it's okay for, in some cases, for the government to send people to a prison, not just deport them back to their country, for the rest
Yes,
of their lives
of
with no
course.
due process?
But again, we didn't
So again, that's why I don't agree with the locking them up forever. Send them back to where they came from. All good. Locking them up forever, no.
send them back to a prison. We sent them to El Salvador, and El Salvador put them in a prison.
Which would make us.
We don't control the government of El Salvador.
And if
okay?
they put
So
them in a prison
that's a-
without, if they put them in
Yeah,
the prison
that's
without
on them.
due
Kelly's
process,
decision.
and we sold them to that
Yeah,
prison, are
we
we
didn't-
not
That's on them. That's on them.
Sell them.
complicit in that?
Well, hold on. Let's time out. Let's just make sure
We're not locking anybody up for indefinitely.
we get our morals straight. How did these people end up in our country?
Illegally.
They broke into our home. If you
Illegally.
break into our home,
Okay, and
we're
now-
going to discharge you.
And this is
You
good.
break into America.
Yeah.
Don't play the victim if you're sent back
Uh-huh.
to your country of
And
origin.
this is where
You did not come here with
Okay.
permission. You did not come here with warrant.
Yeah.
You did not come here with invitation. You came here and broke in. You are a line cutter. Not you, but they are a line cutter. You actually waited nicely in line, of which I wish the illegals would do. And
So-
they should not all of a sudden act as if they're a victim. You come into America illegally, you're going to win certain prizes, one of which, if you are part of an enemy gang,
But
that
that
at the
wasn't-
time...
that has
would-
nothing to do with what I asked you. I'm just
no,
saying.
it's actually everything to do with the action.
It-
I'm saying
I agree with you that if they're
As a
illegal,
standard
they can
rule-
be subject to deportation proceedings, which in 1903, this is precedent that goes all the way back in the Supreme Court, and they said
not
that
with expedited release or the Alien Enemies
But
Act.
if
That's what was used, though.
our own intelligence agencies are saying now that
I
TDA
got it.
has
I've
no
already-
coordination.
and what was my answer to that?
Huh?
I had not seen that, and
Okay.
I'll look at it. If so, I'll reconsider my position. So
And-
we're going to keep on relitigating that.
Okay.
So at the time, that was considered to be like operationally true.
Mhm.
And again, I will take a look at that, and if it's true, I'll reconsider my position. Can I
And,
say it
yes,
again?
but then just going to the most recent 9-0 Supreme Court case, they said
They
that.
state it. They did not
Okay.
say that. They
Hold
put
hold
a pause on
I'm
it.
not, I haven't said
reconsider
what I
it.
thought they said yet. I'm saying that towards the end, they said that to remove anybody, they have to have an opportunity to be heard and notice of hearing. That's what.
Not for expedited release. Not if you're within 14 days or 100 miles of the southern border.
But there was. Are you claiming that everybody that was?
No, I'm
in
not.
that
I'm saying
300?
those 300 were under the Alien Enemies Act. So again, we're going to keep on going in circles. At the time, that was before the Supreme Court ruled.
Okay, so just to
Correct?
get it clear,
You agree with that?
You believe that the executive branch can put an allegation on somebody and then, without proving things to any third party, deport you to a foreign prison for the rest of your life.
If you're an illegal alien
how
you are part of,
how would you prove you're
first
not an
of all,
illegal alien?
we had.
With a passport?
This was the most documented deportation effort ever. We know who these people were. We knew their names.
Yeah, because they're all
many
about
of
to be
them
held in
prior had
criminal
court dates.
contempt by the people that uphold the
Many
law
of them
in
were
this
already.
country.
Many of them were already convicted of crimes, including a
75% of
rape.
them were
Yeah.
not convicted of crimes.
Again,
not
but
300.
they already had affiliation. So if you're asking me, do I think it's okay for
According to who,
are you
though?
asking me, is it okay for the U.S. government to scoop up illegal aliens and send them home? Yes. Next question.
Okay,
Yes.
but
Exactly. And that's exactly why he didn't come up and ask the question of should we be able to scoop people up off the street and send them home? Because the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Shout out to Waco Mine. Welcome to the party. Very good to see ya. How are ya? How are ya? The day is the day. You know what I mean? But the night is here. So it is time to party. Welcome.
can you prove that they're? How do you prove you're not illegal?
Show me your passport. What's your name?
A lot of the people
You're not in the system.
So
Go home.
people that were detained
You're
in
not
Chicago,
in the system.
people
Go home.
detained in Chicago, U.S. citizens that have been detained because of this.
And then they show their passport. That's due process.
Were they sent back to El Salvador?
No, but they were held.
Okay.
Exactly. So yes, it's not ideal that there's millions upon tens of millions of people who don't belong here. And so unfortunately, because of the Biden administration and the lack of strength in the border with the previous administrations, there's going to be some people who get caught up. I am dark enough. I don't look fucking Latino, but I'm dark enough that you might scoop me. If I get scooped up because I look brown, and then I just show my passport, and they're like, all right, my bad. I'm glad. Now, I'm not going to be glad about having to go through that, but I'll be glad that that process is existing.
Prison for 2 days based on immigration.
Oh, 2 days. 2 days. Would you spend 2 days in prison to get not even prison, in jail? Would you spend 2 days in jail to get every single illegal immigrant out of this country? Bet you would.
Immigration grounds,
Okay,
and they're
and
U.S.
that-
citizens.
Okay, then
It's because y'all aren't
what's the
respecting
issue?
due process.
No,
All I'm
again,
saying
we're
is-
continually going in circles
Okay.
on this, but I will say for
Okay.
the 14th time, if you are an illegal alien in America, don't be shocked if you get swept up and deported back to your country of origin.
Bye.
Biden's presidency is over. A new presidency is here.
Well, I'll just say that's authoritarian rhetoric, in my opinion, and anybody waving at a
And there we go. Lose the argument and attack the motives. Well, you're an authoritarian. Nope.
flag supporting that does not
No,
support
in
the
fact,
core
it's the
values of our
opposite.
country.
Do you know what it is?
There you go.
It is
all those American flags. All those American
That does
flags.
not
No,
support
in
the
fact,
core
it's the
values of our
opposite.
country.
Do you know what it is? It is patriotism to say
Absolutely
American citizens come before foreign gang
It's
members.
spitting and
Not
chewing
America first. America first.
hard
the
to
Constitution.
understand.
And that's why every single court in this land, the Supreme Court, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, the Maryland Court, Judge Boasberg, is holding the government that you support in contempt for violating
Well,
the
they actually have
Constitution.
not held them in contempt.
They're starting to start
Well,
those
they haven't.
proceedings,
So
Charlie.
you have
That's a technicality.
They have not held them in contempt.
They're starting those processes.
But disagreement between the branches is nothing new. It is normal.
It's violation
Well,
of
hold
the
on.
Supreme Court
So-
orders.
Disagreement between the two parties is a violation of a Supreme Court order? Nah.
But disagreement between the branches is nothing new. It is normal.
It's violation
Well,
of
hold
the
on.
Supreme Court
So
orders.
Joe Biden violated the Supreme Court.
Cool.
No, hold on. No. When it came to the student loan cancellation thing, should he have done that? No. And they're not actually ignoring the Supreme Court. They're not. There's a hold on the Alien Enemies Act. We will see what the Supreme Court decides this summer. Again, it is one of 3 legal ways to remove people from the United States of America, as per our courts have decided.
Okay. And then just
But let's just go back to another rule and repeat it for the now 17th time.
Yeah.
If you are here illegally, we are going to return you to your country of
without due
origin.
process or any type of evidence to prove you're
Again,
actually legal.
We're going to keep on going in
I
circles.
don't know what you're referring to as far as that, but I did have one final question.
Again,
About to go to
expedited
class.
release does not require due process.
My name is Teresa.
They cut off his other question. All right, Teresa,
But I
what
did
you
have one
got?
final
Again,
question.
girl?
expedited
Yes.
release does not require due process.
My name is Teresa. And I was wondering, because all humans are endowed with unalienable rights, why deny illegal immigrants due process?
No, that's a good question. That only pertains. So the promise of the idea of unalienable rights is first and foremost to American citizens, not to. We do not enforce the natural rights contract of every citizen around the world.
Like, do you think that because the American Constitution has the right to free speech, that counts for people in other countries? Not how that works.
But secondly, to the point earlier, there are some circumstances where illegal aliens do get due process and some where they do not.
Well, the government is there to protect rights, so shouldn't the court decide the question about status?
Again, they have. So for expedited release, the court has ruled that you do not need extensive due process rights. Alien Enemies Act is under contention. Other issues, yes, due process is given.
I also had another question. Do you think that unenumerated federal function departments, agencies, and properties should be closed down and those powers returned to the states and the people, therefore?
I'm honestly, I missed the beginning of her question because I was reading Waco Mind's comment. But if we're talking about returning power to the states, I'm going to say yes. We'll go back to what it actually is. But Waco Mind said, thanks to the internet, it's easy to see the opinions that people have with the way the immigration issue is being handled. 20 years ago, this stuff was not nearly as popular. Is that a good thing? Well, I mean, it's not a simple yes or no. It's good that it's popular because compared to when Biden was in office, because of the number of people here. 20 years ago, there wasn't that many people here, so there wasn't a need for it to be that popular. So, it's kind of good that it's popular because it's addressing an issue. But 20 years ago, the issue wasn't there to be popular, to be focused on. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense.
Agencies and properties should be closed down and those powers returned to the states and the people, therefore.
Yeah, the more we can return to the states, the better.
Okay. I'm Republican, and I really thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Educate college students. So.
God bless you. Thank you.
Oh, I saw a clip of this guy. This is a good one. This is a good one. I only saw a clip.
I just had a question on your thoughts on if we need more gun control in the country or not.
We all know that Charlie's going to say, absolutely, we need way more gun control in this country.
So I just had a question on your thoughts on if we need more gun control in the country or not. I'm very pro protecting America and the citizens that live in it. And so I think that we should have more gun control because there's a lot of school shootings that happen, as we mentioned. And, I just think it would do a lot to protect people.
Protect them how? How do you protect them without the tools to protect them?
And I think the Second Amendment also qualifies that we should have regulations for guns. I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Sure. Do you think gun ownership is a right or a privilege?
I think it's a right, but it comes with responsibilities.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I think that there should be things in place, things like red flag laws and things like that. The AG just approved Mel Gibson to get his gun rights back, even though he had a domestic violence charge. So, I don't think the people that commit these violent crimes should be able to buy guns and things like that. And I think we should have red flag laws in place to make sure that those violent criminals aren't getting guns.
Okay, so
believe all women then too. So any woman who's like, he beat me, now that person can't defend themselves. No thanks.
So tell me, in your perfect world, what would constitute a red flag?
Just things like,
good avenue to go down for Charlie. Good avenue to go down because they like the idea that there are red flags, but pinning that down is never a practical thing. It's never something they can actually do.
We can look into any kind of medication and things like that can affect someone's.
That could be dangerous, right? That could be there's a lot of vets that come home from war and that are on a lot of medication. A lot of vets could have their weapons taken away.
Arguably, I'm not saying as a statement of fact, but arguably they are the most responsible with their guns.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying, bless you.
Thank you. It's the pollen or something. Thank you.
I'm not necessarily saying like it's mainly to prevent, future shootings and things like that. And also, putting in place things like a federal registry so that we know, the types of guns that people have. And, it would just essentially be a federal registry that shows these are the guns that this person has, in case a cop has to go on something like a domestic call. That's the most dangerous call they can go on.
Yeah. So let's just tell the government all of this. Oh my God. It's not as egregious as, oh my God, we need to have it's because this guy doesn't seem to understand why the ideas he's putting forth are bad. And so he's just kind of the midwit who cares. He wants people to be safe, but he doesn't understand how this would make people so much more unsafe.
that this person has, in case a cop has to go on something like a domestic call. That's the most dangerous call they can go on. So
yeah, I can see you're coming after this from a good perspective. Let me ask one other question. What would you say is the ultimate and final purpose of the Second Amendment?
I think it's self-defense against a tyrannical government, which
we agree. Sure, great. Keep going.
Right, and other threats. And so the idea that you can take that away and make things safer, those are antithetical ideas. We all know, comment below, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun. Exactly.
Well, but I think within the Second Amendment, it also implies that we have high regulations in the first 4 words.
Sort of. Well-regulated militia actually meant well-armed, but that's a separate issue. But
how do you know? You're interpreting what the founding fathers.
Well, they said it in the Federalist Papers, right? So it's not just me, but also in the Heller decision, in the 5-4 decision, that said that gun ownership was a right. This was a hotly debated thing.
But do you disagree? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you disagree with the idea of a federal registry like that?
Oh, without a doubt.
Hell
the
yeah.
only reason you'd want to
Ask Schindler about that one.
register the guns is if you want to confiscate them.
Well, or to make sure that people like officers of law are protected.
According to who?
And know what they're going into. I mean, a domestic.
That's a good argument.
Right.
To your credit, I will try to make a better argument where the problem of the government knowing where every gun is would then lead itself towards mass confiscation. Mm-hmm. And I would agree with you. A well-armed citizenry is the greatest protectorate of liberty and freedom in this country.
Which brings us back to my original question. How do we make things safer if we're giving all the power to the government?
So the Army has things like drones and tanks and things like that outarm, citizens that have.
Yes. And
okay, let's see the music. Have you heard of something called Waco, where they use one tank and a bunch of rifles? And that was what, 60 years ago? No, not 60 years ago. 40 years ago? Something like that. I don't know. I think it was like 60 years ago. And people are still talking about it. So this idea, we got F-16s. You are not going to use F-16s on a civilian American population. Come on.
No, I mean, we've seen it in several instances where at least a citizen, that's a good argument, but I would say a little flawed, where the citizens are able to protect themselves in some ways. It's a much harder population to control.
I understand, but so you think a federal registry would infringe on the...
So when, I could look it up. If you remember, that was in the early 80s, right? The early 80s, so about 40 something years ago, right? Because I wasn't alive. I watched the FX dramatized thing that they did, and that was awesome. I've seen documentaries as well, but if you haven't seen the FX one, it's a great watch. But yeah, I mean, people are still talking about that, about the level of the of force the government was using on normal people. And then Biden, we got F-16s. Like, I mean, okay, maybe I believe that Joe Biden would use F-16s on a regular American population, but I don't know. 93? Damn. Okay. So I was alive for that. I was a whole 3 years old.
It's a much harder population to control.
I understand. But so you think a federal registry would infringe on the rights?
Essentially. I mean, I think that there is no good argument, I think, other than potential. I ascribe to the government bad motives and bad intentions when it wants to infringe more on these types of freedoms and liberties.
Well, I understand. I just personally don't see it as an infringement because, like we just said, and I think we agreed that owning a gun is a right. However, yes. I think it was responsibilities. But also I wanted to ask.
Okay, so what does that mean? It's a right, but there's responsibilities. So if you don't keep up the responsibilities that you personally want other people to uphold, then the government takes their gun away?
Oh, hell
no. It sounds good, but what does that mean? Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. Waco was in the 90s under Bill Clinton and AG Janet Reno. Oh, Reno. Should have done better. Welcome to the party, sir. We want to say F-16s were flown over the Pine Ridge Res during the FBI-involved shootings. And how many missiles did they drop on American citizens? Exactly. That's why this is a dumb argument that, yes, theoretically, if we're ever to get to a place where the American government itself, the American military, was in danger of falling to a militia, then okay, fine. But that's not at all what we're talking about.
And I think we agreed that owning a gun is a right. However, yes. I think it was responsibilities. But also I wanted to ask, is voting a right or is that a privilege?
Well, it is a right, and that's so felons can get their rights back, right? And so, but rights can be suspended or delayed, and we both agree with that. So, for example, like somebody in prison doesn't get guns,
Right. No, of course.
Somebody in prison doesn't have the same free speech rights that you
right.
might have.
But what's the first thing that you have to do if you want to vote in this country? You have to register, right?
Mhm.
So it's a federal registration to be able to vote in this country. So why not, and we can agree that, keeping safe and,
Right. So, okay. The argument is that if you register the gun, they might take away the gun. And so you bring up, well, you got to register to vote. And that's also the same thing because they could take away. See, that doesn't fit.
keeping our elections to where people who shouldn't vote aren't voting is, that's keeping America safe because we don't want people who
That's a
can't
fair
vote.
point. I would say there's something that there's a technical difference between a voter registration roll and a gun registration
Right, guns
roll.
are much more dangerous.
Well, also, but guns in many different ways, they would go after the guns a lot more than the voter registration roll.
Well, how do we know, though?
But even if they were, what is it to go after? Now we're talking about an actual campaign from the government to treat people who have registered a certain way, treat people who have registered one way, a certain way, and again, okay, just like theoretically, they could use F-16s if the military is going to fall to the the militia or whatever it is. I mean, I guess technically, but there's so many steps before we get there that it's like you're ignoring the reality of what we're talking about. Shout out to Dylan Soup. Welcome to the party, sir.
In many different ways, they would go after the guns a lot more than the voter registration roll.
Well, how do we know, though?
My worldview comes out of one in the 20th century, where almost every totalitarian government went after the guns first, and the confiscation of guns then leads into the erosion of freedom and liberty.
Right, but wouldn't you say in the 20th century, as you just said, that the disparity between the technology that citizens had to protect themselves compared to what the military had, wouldn't you say that there was a much smaller disparity as opposed to what we see nowadays?
Somewhat. I think that's a fair point.
So
Acknowledging that's a fair point.
okay, but
And then
do you see my perspective as well?
No, I do
that,
understand.
that in armed citizenry, also it says shall not be infringed. So we have to kind of wrestle with those two things.
right, but so if it's just a semantics argument, then to that point,
Well, it's not. I mean, semantics is meaning. That's literally what the word means. But
right, but
so,
you're saying because it says shall not be infringed, we can't do anything.
No,
Does
no,
that
I'm
mean,
saying,
does that
though,
mean
that
voting rights can be
I'm
infringed
saying
because it doesn't say it cannot be infringed.
I'm saying I err on the side that more government regulation around guns means that they'll try to take good people's guns away, which then results in less global or let's just say national freedom and liberty.
right, and so if we're going to take away, because the obvious answer with the voter registration analogy is that they can take away your vote, but then we're talking about, okay, what does that mean? That you because you've registered as a Democrat or because you've registered as a Republican, then when you go to the voting booth, they just say no. What does that actually mean? Dylan says people can also vote in those who winds up doing harm to their communities. Elections have consequences, as they've said, unless they only mean Trump and those they dislike. Well, we know they have no principles, just positions.
I understand, but wouldn't you say that that more guns can potentially lead to more danger and less guns?
Yes
would
and
be less
no.
danger?
I mean, there's plenty of evidence to show that states that have more. So if you take Houston and Chicago,
Before he even goes on that, yes, more guns means more violence. But the fact of the matter is, there's already lots of guns. So the answer to lots of guns is more guns. If we only had, a certain amount of guns out there, then and we start seeing people are using this for school shootings and shit. Maybe at that point there is some argument to be had. But right now, the guns are already in the hands of the people that you don't want them to have. The only thing that the laws are going to do is keep people who are willing to follow those laws away from the guns, who can potentially protect people from the people who aren't supposed to have the guns. I used to be exactly like this guy. I used to think exactly like this because I'm from Jersey. Nobody around here really has guns like that. The culture isn't very verbose out here, and so I just didn't know any better. Just like I could see this guy's not some liberal who's trying to win points or anything. He's being genuine. But these things matter, and it's too easy to seem like you know what you're talking about when you have no fucking clue. Like I said, it seems like regardless of who wins the presidential election, there remains a group of people who will remain unsatisfied with the results. Yep. Oh, is that an early hungry dance? Oh, we got a hungry dance. He's hungry, guys. Don't forget, every single donation comes with a treat for Morty. And, of course, we got that swole goal at the top of the chat. 15 super chats of any amount or a $50 total hits the goal. And you guys get to bulk me up. I got to do push-ups. Look how puny I am.
There's plenty of evidence to show that states that have more, so like if you take Houston and Chicago, about comparable populations, Houston actually has warmer weather, which means potentially more gang violence. They have about half, if not even less, the amount of homicides per year than in Chicago. Chicago has much stricter gun laws than Houston, like incredibly strict gun laws.
I understand, but I'm also, well, I think part of what plays into.
Do you? Do you, though? Do you, though? You say you understand, but then you should immediately switch your position. Unless you have a better point to make. Let's hear it.
Laws than Houston, like incredibly strict gun laws.
I understand, but I'm also, well, I think part of what plays into that is the gun laws that are around those cities. They're a lot more lenient than those cities themselves. So I think, I'm not saying that's entirely the cause of it, but I'm saying
I've heard that my whole life. So yeah.
Right. But I'm basically just talking about preventing people that have committed crimes such as domestic violence. I know I mentioned Pam Bondi gave Mel Gibson his rights to purchase a gun again, even though he pled guilty to a battery domestic violence charge in 2011. And yet now he is able to purchase a gun again, which I.
Okay, so again, let's look at the details of that. We know that Mel Gibson, at least for a period of time, was out of his fucking mind. But we also, I think it was him that was that was Alec Baldwin. Not a great example either. But if he settled, that means that there was no trial that said he is found guilty of DV or any of these things. This was a court settlement. So for all we know, it was like, hey, let's just get this behind me. And so that's where the slippery slope is.
Disagree with because he committed a violent crime. I mean,
Are you sure?
And yet now he is able to purchase a gun again, which I disagree with because he committed a violent crime. I mean, do you disagree with that personally?
No, I mean, I don't know the details of the case, but I think I've met Mel Gibson. I think he should be able to own a gun. I mean,
just off of speaking to him though, even though with his criminal history.
I don't know all the details. Do I think that the idea of taking his rights away because of something that happened that I don't know all the details about 14 years ago.
To it, though.
Well, and here's the other thing that from I'm trying to be nice because the dude in the hat is, if you are not a gun person, like I am not a gun person, then it's very difficult to get past the fact that this is a conceptual argument that you're making. And that, like, okay, you did this and therefore, and so on and so, like, you don't actually think that if someone were to break into Mel Gibson's house, that he shouldn't be allowed to protect himself. He doesn't think that. It's just that he has not played it out that far in his mind. He just thinks like, oh, well, like it's points in a game. Well, you lose a point for that. And that's the rule. So there you go. And it's like, well, hold on. Maybe there's a reason that he got his rights back.
Again, I find that to be a little bit of an infringement on basic rights.
Even though he
again, I don't know the details around that, but I guess we're getting to a place where, do you think anyone that's convicted of violent crime should be able to own guns again?
No, not at all. Wow, if they're committing a violent crime, absolutely not. I think we should protect people in America, which I think you agree with. And I think
that's a balance. Are we going to really say the federal government is going to protect us from ourselves when it comes to guns?
No.
Oh, hell no.
I ain't trusting that.
Are we going to really say the federal government is going to protect us from ourselves when it comes to guns?
No, I mean, it's less about the federal government taking away guns.
No, that's all that it's about. That's only what it's about. When you talk about a registry, that's only what it's about. When you talk about taking guns from people, then it's only about trusting the federal government because you have no other options.
When it comes to guns.
No, I mean, it's less about the federal government taking away guns and more just allowing them to protect their citizens. And it's not about getting rid of guns. I'm a gun owner myself. I go hunting.
Wow. I was trying to give him all the benefit of the doubt there, that he's probably just like me. Just some guy who doesn't really understand this stuff because he doesn't know people. You own guns? You understand gun culture? I thought maybe the Carhartt shirt was a little bit of a LARP. But, who watches The Watchmen? Some people are just too far gone. And Vale said, if you serve your time, then you should be allowed to have all your rights back, including your right to vote and to own weapons. Bingo. I agree. Do you think there are any do you think there are any exceptions to this rule? So, like, if it's murder, if it's, child stuff, if it's, if it's a repeat offender, just throwing that out there. I'm not challenging you. I'm just asking, is there anything that you would say, if you serve your time, you should be able to get your rights back, except in this instance?
Just allowing them to protect their citizens. And it's not about getting rid of guns. I'm a gun owner myself. I go hunting. I was on a competitive
What
team.
state would you say has the gun laws that are the most appealing to your worldview?
I don't know specific state laws, if I'm being completely honest with you, but
something to think about.
But I'm speaking, even just the federal registry itself, I think that would protect, a lot of officers of the law.
So that's where you go into, okay, why? Let's play this out. Because clearly you haven't thought about it in the right way. Because if you thought about it, then you wouldn't like this. So let's go down this road. Okay, let's talk about it. The federal registry is there, and every gun is on a list, and then what?
Like I said, when they go on domestic calls, that's the most dangerous call that an officer will go on.
There's an informal registry, not a formal one. Just, gun dealers are supposed to report
Right, but do you really think that they do all the time, though?
No, of course not, obviously. I mean,
right,
I
so
live
would
in
the
reality.
federal registry eliminate that problem then?
Again, I would go back to a formal registry. You register in order to confiscate. It is a prerequisite towards confiscation.
I will not argument, though, if you give one
it's
thing,
not.
then another
It's a historical argument, right? We see that throughout totalitarian dictatorships throughout the 20th century, where if you want to take the weapons away, you first ask for a collection of all the items that you then want to collect. But I could see you're coming after this in good faith. I tend to be on a much more libertarian side, even though I'm not libertarian, where we actually need looser gun laws, because I think that
looser gun laws.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially
how is that surprising? How is that surprising that you think people on the other side of the aisle from, or maybe not the other side of the aisle, but the other side of an issue, would want the other side of the issue?
States like Chicago and Illinois, where it's very basic Second Amendment rights. So I'll give you a great example.
Camden, New Jersey was rated, I don't know if it's anymore, but years in a row was rated the most dangerous city in America, in the entire nation. And guess what the gun laws are? Really, 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 really strict. And guess what a lot of the crime is? Gun violence.
Example. In a state like Rhode Island or New York, it could take a woman upwards of 30 days to get a gun. So let's say a man wants to actually do harm to her, and she gets threats and the police won't intervene. I think she should be able to get a gun that afternoon to protect herself.
I understand that.
So in that case, I think.
Okay, he keeps saying that. I understand that. Okay, well, Charlie's making really strong points that undercut your position. So if you understand all the points that undercut your position, then have you changed your position? Or what are we doing here?
I think she should be able to get a gun that afternoon to protect herself.
I understand that.
So that in that case, I think that gun law should be looser.
I understand.
I think
in that regard, I do agree with you.
Cool. So that would be an instance of that. And I also will go back to this idea of red flag laws.
You're
We have seen case after case of it being abused, of veterans having their weapons taken away because of fake accusations and, let's just say, faulty accusations, saying that they're mentally unbalanced, so on and so forth.
But do you think that they could investigate cases like that and see if there aren't any medications? I mean, a lot of these antidepressants can change your brain chemistry.
For sure.
I can promise you. I don't have the numbers, I don't have the study, but as a resident of New Jersey, and I'm not even that close to Camden, but we know about Camden. I'm a little bit closer to Trenton, which is not great either. But if you would ask anyone who knows about Camden, would you walk down the street in Camden alone during the day on a sunny day?
Oh, hell no.
I mean, any city, you don't really want to walk around alone at night. But sunny day.
Some of it, though, is they take the guns away first and they ask questions after. It's a difficult, very, I want to say gray area, but edge part of the law, where I tend to, in a respectable position, respect to you, I tend to err on the side of it is a right. The government screws up more than it does correct in this specific portion. And the downside to having more guns is far better than the downside of having only the government have guns.
Bingo.
I mean, goddamn. The downside to there being too many people who have guns is far better than the downside of having only the government have guns.
Bingo.
Yep. Downside, I'd rather walk North Philly or Camden instead of Kensington. I mean, none of them are going to be fun, but it's a tight race.
Is far better than.
Let's hear that one again.
I tend to err on the side of it is a right. The government screws up more than it does correct in this specific portion. And the downside to having more guns is far better than the downside of having only the government have guns.
Even if that can cost American lives, though. I mean, me personally, I would give up all of my guns in a heartbeat if I knew for a fact that it was going to save one life.
Okay, but that's a big if, brother. That's a big if. That's a big if, and you have no reason to believe that that if would come true.
Lives, though. I mean, me personally, I would give up all of my guns in a heartbeat if I knew for a fact that it was going to save one life.
Can I do a thought experiment to you?
Sure.
So, do you think we should ban driving?
No, I don't think so. And I know where you're going with this.
Well, even if it would save American lives, bro, you don't care about American lives because more people die from car accidents than do guns.
So, do you think we should ban driving?
No, I don't think so. And I know where you're going with this.
55,000 people a year die from car accidents, right?
Right,
so
absolutely. But those are accidents, though. That's not someone intentionally.
Well,
going
that's
and
not
killing
true.
somebody.
Some people intentionally do, or some people have DUIs, right? Some of it isn't active.
SUV kills people. What was that? What was that parade thing where that dude drove through the crowd and killed a bunch of people? And they said like the truck or the SUV or whatever it was, they wouldn't because of course it was a black dude.
Agency, not just accidents, right? Meaning that they are reckless with the technology.
I understand.
You would agree a DUI is a reckless act.
Oh, for sure.
And that's a vast majority of auto deaths,
right?
Both in the interior of the vehicle and the exterior.
Right, but then what do you have to do to be able to drive, though? You have to get a driver's license. You have to take a test with an instructor.
No, of course, but I'm saying if...
Okay, but we don't have the right to drive enshrined in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights for that matter.
The pursuit of, to save, if it's all about saving lives, then there are certain things that we'd get rid of. I would say, though, that government is not...
Freedom ain't free, baby.
Not merely there for our safety. It's one of the primary focuses. You have to balance liberty and safety. And that's a tough balance at times. I fall on this issue on the side of liberty. Final thought.
So what? That shit. Me too. Delete to that. It's always a balance between liberty and safety. But he who would give up liberty for safety deserves neither. Don't remember who said that, but it was somebody important.
Yeah, just one last quick question, I promise. What about something, as I mentioned, with taking a driving test to be able to get a driver's license, you have to prove that you know how to operate the vehicle safely. What about something similar to that with owning a gun? Some kind of thing where you go to a range with a trained professional, you show that you know how to operate the gun, safely, know how to store it safely, things like that. Yet,
yeah,
and then once you pass that, you get some kind of card that allows you to buy a gun. It's all about protections. It's not about restricting rights.
On that, you might have some agreement with me. Because actually, the number one cause of errant gun deaths is accidental discharges. People that...
I don't disagree. I think it would be more like you get the gun, and then you have X amount of time. I don't know what it would be, whether you want to say a month, 3 months, 1 year, whatever it is, to take some kind of course. That I would be okay with. Because then you're not infringing on the right. You're not impeding the ability to own the gun. Hey, shout out to Indie Film getting us started on that Swogo. Oh man, am I gonna have to do some push-ups tonight? I might have to do some push-ups tonight. That's 1 out of 15 donations and 5 out of $50 in total. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. Was that Ben Franklin? I thought that was somebody playing on one of his quotes. He who would sacrifice liberty. Yeah, there we go. Ben Franklin's famous quote. All right, I guess you're right. There you go. Liberty and safety. You can have both at 100. Like I said, it's a horrible statistic that kids killed in schools by desperate characters on a revenge bender. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a horrible thing. But it's statistically not a thing that happens. Statistically, school shootings do not happen.
Cause of errant gun deaths is accidental discharges. People that don't know what they're doing with their gun.
I understand.
And so I think that could be prevented through better training. So for that, I actually might have some middle ground.
Okay, I appreciate it. Hope you and your family had a blessed Easter. God
Thank
bless
you.
everybody.
God bless you. Great job. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is
job,
Grace,
bro.
and I've heard your opinions against college, and I wanted to ask if you think it's entirely useless if we are making connections and broadening our current viewpoint.
Yes. Find a hobby, hang out with those people without paying tens of thousands of dollars a semester. I would not give up my college experience for anything. I would not. The best times. 2010 was easily the best year of my life because of college and because of what happened at college. But that doesn't mean that it needed all that money to happen. If there's hordes of young people graduating high school and not getting into these either going to college or getting into these careers, there's we could build into our culture time where you just fuck around for a little bit. You have a part-time job and you just do whatever. It doesn't need to be college. And again, I understand the sentiment here because I would not give up my college experience for anything. It was amazing. It was fun. It was great, especially coming from a strict household. But still.
And I wanted to. Howdy, my name is Grace, and I've heard your opinions against college, and I wanted to ask if you think it's entirely useless if we are making connections and broadening our current viewpoints and opinions with new knowledge that we were not taught by family and friends. So overall, like if we live in sheltered households that only have one particular political opinion and we're not able to see outside of that, doesn't college help you broaden and also help you expand your own opinions?
Sure. Is it worth the cost? Is it worth the erosion of our culture?
It can. The question is, can only college do that?
Exactly. How come you can understand that argument with college, Charlie, but you can't understand that argument with Jesus?
Own opinions?
It can. The question is, can only college do that? That's the operative question. And secondly, is it worth the cost? For some people, of course, college is worth it. I mean, do you guys have an engineering school here?
Yes.
I mean, we obviously need more engineers. I think we need a lot less people studying sociology. Let me put it that way.
Understandable. Yep. So in regards, for example, I don't personally relate because I'm a neuroscience major, so college is good for me.
You have a lot of opportunity ahead of you.
Yes.
There you go. That's a reason to go to college.
So for people that are like, you use the example of sociology majors and, oh no.
That was so weird. Okay, I want to run that back because the way that the paper flew off the thing and then this chick with the fan, I thought it fucked with my mind for a second, so we're gonna see it again.
That are like you use the example of sociology majors and oh no.
See, I thought it flew off the table and then she caught it. That was so weird.
People that are like you use the example of sociology majors and oh no. And communications majors and business majors, they can learn that by making connections outside of college. But overall, I personally believe that it really does help if you have the funds through scholarships, and there's hundreds and thousands of scholarships that people can apply to and get to, even disability scholarships, or I know there's, of course, people of color scholarships for people.
If you can afford it. My daddy's a doctor. He worked hard so that I can have privilege. Not everybody has that.
People of color. So
wait, what about people of color? What do we why do we gotta always bring it there? What are we talking about?
Scholarships, and there's hundreds and thousands of scholarships that people can apply to and get to, even disability scholarships, or I know there's, of course, people of color scholarships for people of color. So
really,
I do think college overall is beneficial, even if you have a major that may not be great for the sociology.
Yeah, nobody said it's not beneficial. Nobody said there are no benefits to going to college. What we're saying is that the calculus of the positives and negatives, the negatives outweigh the positives.
So can I ask a question to the audience? I'm curious. How many of you guys have to take classes that you would consider a waste of time or money?
Yep,
I do.
in this one, the gen ed classes.
That's against your will. People have to go into debt then.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of wrestle with that, right?
Yeah. But I feel like there's still big takeaways that you can take from this class. Like, for example,
again, they're talking past each other. She keeps saying, well, there's good stuff here. And he's like, yeah, I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying that's not the only way. You know, kind of like when I talk about religion and you guys are, but there's so much good stuff here. And I'm like, yes, you're correct, but it's not the only way to get it.
Right?
Yeah. But I feel like there's still big takeaways that you can take from this class. Like, for example, one of my elective classes is Guitar Heroes, which that has nothing to do with neuroscience, but I'm enjoying every single second of it. And
Either I'm going to hope that Guitar Heroes is more of a music history class and not let's get good at Guitar Hero. But either way, you don't need to pay for a class in that. Most Guitar Heroes did a thing called release music to the public.
Guitar Heroes, which that has nothing to do with neuroscience, but I'm enjoying every single second of it, and I've already made friends and in larger connections that are along with my
It's
major.
Guitar Heroes?
Yes, it's,
Wow.
Please explain it. Please explain it.
it's about history of guitarists, and
Okay. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't a class on how to play Guitar Hero. But again, that's an interesting thing. But let's see what we can find. Let's go to YouTube and search history of the best guitar players. Let's see. 1 minute. Okay, we got 20 minutes here. We got a whole thing on Hendrix, a bunch of stuff on Hendrix, a bunch of songs that you could see. Okay, what are those songs? We go look up that person. And so let's see what's on the list of songs. So okay, so Blitzkrieg, the Ramones, what is that? Okay, then we go to the next song. Oh, REM, who is that? Oh my God, Elvis, who is Elvis Presley? Who is that? That's your Guitar Heroes class. And how much are you spending on it for the semester? I'm not doubting that you're having fun, sweetie. That's not the complaint here. The complaint is, are you getting your money's worth? And obviously not. If you can afford it. Nope. Getting a little bit of Blitzkrieg.
you know, they even, I remember earlier.
Was that an elective or was that mandatory? Is that core?
It's under cultural discourse.
Oh, okay.
So
honestly, that's better than critical race theory, so I fully support
yes.
Guitar Heroes over
Well,
CRT.
there is.
No, I mean, music history is definitely important. But again, do we need to be paying thousands of dollars for it?
Actually a lot of LGBT
and I'll add one more point onto that. Maybe if college didn't exist as it does, then people would be more inclined to do this type of thing on their own. Maybe it would be easier to find videos like what the curriculum of your Guitar Heroes class is online, because there wouldn't be a class and people would still be interested in it. No?
related questions in this class, like how does this gender the guitar and things like that, which I never really thought about until getting into this class.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing you never thought about that.
Well, there is actually a lot of LGBTQ related questions in this class, like how does this gender the guitar and things like that, which I never really thought about until getting into this class. So do you think that, along with the question that someone asked earlier, do you think they're pushing leftist views on us, or do you think they're just trying to help us broaden our...
How does that gender the guitar? I wonder if they're pushing this. I mean, I don't know. And this is what we talk about. When the difference between semantic obfuscation and linguistic creep, or whether it's cultural obfuscation and cultural creep. Now, talking about the gender of a guitar is directly preceded by, I don't know, do you really think they're pushing this stuff? You're talking about the gender of a piece of wood. And you don't even recognize that it's directly impacted by that. So I would say, yes, directly pushed on you. Like I said, it would be a great accomplishment for America to have the funding needed to send its people to higher education. I mean, yeah, that's a two-sided thing. I mean, one, if we had the funding, that would be great. But also, I don't know if I want to spend that funding on the higher education that we have. And then two, if the higher education was, what it's supposed to be, then maybe it would be more affordable. It's just fucked top to bottom. Top to bottom.
Do you think they're pushing leftist views on us, or do you think they're just trying to help us broaden our...
It depends on the professor. It depends on what you're studying.
Okay.
I mean, there are some horizons that can be fun to broaden, but is that the best use of your time?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not ask you, but are you guys traditionally studying deeply about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and Aquinas, and Augustine, and the great works of the West? Not always in college, unfortunately. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for your time.
And to his last point, that's also why the same reason, all the people that he listed, why people are thinking, oh, college must be the only answer. Let's hear it again.
Broaden, but is that the best use of your time?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not ask you, but...
So he's about to list a bunch of people and say the reason that people think college is the only answer is because they don't know about this.
Are you guys traditionally studying deeply about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and Aquinas, and Augustine, and the great works of the West?
It's almost like it's the exact same argument as my argument with Christianity. There's a lot of good stuff that comes from Christianity. But have you checked out Plato, Socrates, Aquinas, Augustine, and the great works of the West outside of the Bible? Maybe all those liberal students who don't like the Bible would like Plato, Socrates, Aquinas, Augustine, and the works of the West. But no, it's got to be Jesus.
Not always in college, unfortunately. So
Okay. Thank you so much.
thank you. God bless you. Thanks for your time. You want a hat? Great. In a second, we'll get to you.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Yes, I was thinking, well, I was trying to use an R word because they have the, I really want to ask you a question. I really want to ask you a question here. That's what it looks like this guy's going to sound like.
Hello. Yeah. So my question actually pertains to my first question pertains to American identity and the difference between individualism and collectivism.
Exactly. Philosophy 101 is a great way to see that Christianity is not the only way.
So there in early American history, you see this tradition of sort of Americans working together, in almost a collective society. But there's also a bad collectivism, which is like the Stalinist collectivism. But yet there's also this collectivism like in South America where they have this thing called Minga, where they help each other with labor to build each other's houses and stuff like that. And I guess my question is, where do you think the line ends and begins between the good collectivism and the bad collectivism?
Well, involuntary collectivism.
Okay. Hey, I was talking some shit, but that's a good question. That's a good question. Where does the line? Where do you draw the line between good collectivism and bad collectivism?
Ends and begins.
I'm not sure if it's in this thing because again, guys, I jump around and make sure we've got stuff to talk about, but I try to react to this stuff as raw as possible. And I don't remember what the hell I was about to say.
Between the good collectivism,
I completely forgot what I was going to say.
And the bad collectivism.
Well, involuntary collectivism is great. So when a church comes to
he was gonna. I remember what I was going to say. Charlie was talking about how unity is our strength and diversity is the opposite of unity. And so I wonder how that's going to play into good collectivism versus bad.
The good collectivism and the bad collectivism.
Well, involuntary collectivism is great. So when a church comes together collectively to go and feed the poor, you and I can agree that's great. Right. If it's mandatory or inherently totalitarian, that comes with a lot of problems.
Yeah, that makes sense. My second question is, throughout history, you have this thing where people are striving towards freedom, towards a more open society. And there's this sort of problem where there's this difference between the sort of political philosophers and what they think and those who are, living a certain way in order to achieve whatever their political or societal goals are. And I guess my question is, do you think that political philosophers can sort of sometimes be a hindrance to creating a better society? Or is it better that we listen to these political philosophers?
We should listen.
I like this kid. We'll get to the answer in a second, but Waco Mind said education is crucial for moral and ethical development, forming the foundation of just and virtuous citizens. I would absolutely agree. But again, that brings us back to is that what college is teaching? And two, is college the only way to educate? And I would say no, but I completely agree with you. Completely agree. Should we listen to political philosophers?
A better society, or is it better that we listen to these political philosophers?
We should listen to them, but most political philosophy on the left is garbage and rubbish. So should be very careful with that.
So I mean, I think the better answer there is absolutely you should be listening to political philosophers, but you should be listening to a multitude of political philosophers and people that disagree with each other, so that you can see where you fall individually, because you're going to align more closely with some pundits or whatever you want to call them, and not so much with others. But just because you like somebody doesn't mean they're right, and just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean they're wrong.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Would you like a hat?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Damn, I wanted to see a conversation with this dude. Clearly, he's a little bit more learned.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, Charlie. Nice to meet you. My name is Jordan. I just had a question. It's pretty general, and I ask it with the most respect. Why do you do these prove me wrong tables? Like, what's the motivation behind it?
Well, you see, he has a claim, and then he sets up the microphone so that you can then try to prove him wrong.
Well, firstly, to inspire the conservatives on campus that you guys aren't alone and that there's a lot of you that share this view. That's number one. Number two, to see where we agree or disagree. And then third, just to find out who's right. Because speech will get you towards some approximation of truth.
Okay, absolutely.
Bingo. Bingo. Shout out to Box in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very good to see you, sir.
Because speech will get you towards some approximation of truth.
Okay, absolutely. And then what would you say is your purpose when it comes to people on the opposing side of you? What's your purpose? What's your goal in trying to communicate to them?
Show them that they're wrong. Well, I'm answering as Charlie here. So one is definitely to show that they're wrong. Number two is to show that the line of thinking, not that just they've landed on the wrong position, but the thinking that they've used to get there is wrong or malfunctioned or incomplete or something. Three, like you said, to show conservative students that they're not alone. And four, to raise the bar of what we expect from the political understanding of college students.
Hopefully to convince them and persuade them, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to get one to that guy in the back. Yes, next question. Who wants a hat, everybody? Who wants a hat?
We're good? How you doing?
I am so pretty. Okay, that's a shirt to wear. That's a shirt to wear.
It's hot today, ain't it? Gotta get used to it down here, man.
Did you watch this? That was weird.
One, right before we start, could I please get a signed hat?
Depends.
Oh.
Do you charge cheddar around here? You charge?
No, I've been throwing out hats for free.
Damn, I just gotta jump next time, I guess. All right, well, I feel pretty American today. We're down to our roots, standing up for what we believe in. I think that's powerful. I'm pretty sure a brand.
Does he also have Janko jeans? He's got an I am so pretty shirt with Janko jeans and a chain wallet. I'm just saying, you know what? You know what? You do what you will with that. I'll just say hello and welcome to Equality and Deference because vagina. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said liked and shared. Oh my goodness, thank you so very, very much. You guys know exactly how easy that stuff is and how much it helps the channel. It doesn't even matter if you think anybody's gonna click on the link just by you telling YouTube, X, Rumble, whatever, that you want more people to see this. They will show it to more people. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. But real quick, if you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our Disciple chat for members only, our Word of the Day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join. There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. And remember, guys, that after party you just saw is for members only. But if you click that link pinned to the top of the chat before the stream is over, you get a full day pass so you can hang out in the after party and all the other text channels. But either way, clicking that link gets you in the Discord, and it is absolutely free. Come on through.
Our roots, standing up for what we believe in. I think that's powerful. I'm pretty sure a branch of that is why you're here. I just had one question for you real quick. Probably go into two. Or three or four or five. Whatever. So, all right. I've heard you say before you think diversity is a weakness. I just want to ask you why you think diversity is a weakness.
Okay, yeah, I think this is what I was thinking of. He was like, well, let's do the opposite of unity, right?
Well, think about it. Unity is a strength.
Yeah.
Diversity.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking of. He brought that up, and I don't remember why I brought that up 3 minutes ago, but however I did, this is where it's from.
Why you think diversity is a weakness?
Well, think about it. Unity is a strength. Diversity is not. If you're trying to create a team, for example, if you guys want to win the SEC again, which I am pulling for Texas A&M to win an SEC championship again, and every single player is getting different call signs, that is definitionally different. And unity is what creates a good football team. We're brought together by what brings us together, not what is different. And so differences are actually not a strength when you're trying to create a team, a country, a military, a football team, a unit, a corporation, or so on and so forth.
Okay, well, glad we're not a football team. I'm glad we're a country.
So what here, and I get what Pretty Boy here, that's what I'm gonna call him. I get what Pretty Boy is trying to say. That like, okay, I get what you're saying, but what, on a football team, you have a quarterback, you have defensemen, you have all kinds of diversity. That would be how you want to respond to that. And there's a level of diversity. Diversity isn't inherently bad. It's just the type of diversity that they mean is bad. Exactly.
A corporation or so on and so forth.
Okay, well, glad we're not a football team. I'm glad we're a country. So
it's a metaphor, right?
I get you. So you say different call signs. How is me being diverse from someone in the crowd here, us getting different call signs?
Well, I mean, again, it's a metaphor,
Well,
right?
yeah, but you use a metaphor to explain.
Right. So, for example, if someone, I'll try to boil it down for you so you can understand.
Gotcha.
If like Elon Omar comes into America and doesn't share our values, doesn't speak our language, and hates America, different call signs, not united. Diversity becomes a weakness, not a strength. When you import a lot of people that don't share your values, like we have been from Somalia and from the third world, all of a sudden they say diversity is a strength. Is it really? Is diversity a strength?
Is it though? Now, again, I do think that Charlie is kind of playing debate bro, because he starts to, dumb it down for you. When it's like, hey, man, you put out the metaphor, and then I'm just asking how the metaphor fits with the reality that you're trying to what's the word? What is the word for turn into a metaphor? Analogize, but you know what I mean.
And from the third world, all of a sudden they say diversity is a strength. Is it really? Is diversity a strength in Minneapolis? Is that really a strength? No. You know what is a strength? The unity we find in being an American, not in being Muslim or in being whatever faction or tribe that you come from.
So so then Pretty Boy should be like, okay, so being an American means being from Texas and wearing a cowboy hat and doing this, not having Timberlands and baggy jeans in the middle of Chicago, right? That's where he needs to take this. He needs to go into the fact that it's just like the other guy, the gun guy. He had a cute sounding thing. It sounds nice on paper. But it doesn't actually mean anything. Well, Wiggamine asked, who pays Charlie to do this stuff? And Equality said, our values, worshiping Israel. I mean, there you go. So he is the president and founder of Turning Point USA. And then, yeah, I guess whatever the fuck that is sponsoring. We are there. So Waco said that's the reason the military uses multiple tactics and a variety of arms. They don't only hire riflemen. Bingo. Charlie is going the wrong way. We are going the wrong way on we are different. We are the same. He needs to read the book. I mean, I agree with his bottom line here, but he's doing a very bad job at arguing this. But of course, we have a nervous college student who doesn't do this, so Charlie's going to get the better of him.
Being an American, not in being Muslim or in being whatever faction or tribe that you come from.
Okay, so basically, like, just to make sure I'm getting this, if we're all united as one thing, not diverse.
E pluribus unum. So it's the Latin phrase, out of many one.
Okay.
So the diversity is our strength is at odds with what's on every one of your dollar bills.
So again, Pretty Boy should be like, okay, out of many, are all those people are the same? They're the same. Everybody is the same. That sounds like DEI to me.
On your dollar bill is a phrase, e pluribus unum, which means it doesn't matter your skin color, your background. Our founders did not say diversity is our strength. They said we are all humanity and that is our strength. which is fundamentally different than the phrase diversity is our strength.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought up the founding fathers then, because they weren't all the same person. There was so many people that made up.
Yeah, there
America.
were many of them. You're right.
Okay, yeah, but there were so many people that.
Right. So now you're getting into that because you're talking about people being all the same. And even though Pretty Boy is wrong about diversity, the type of diversity she's talking about being good, it doesn't mean that everything that is the same is only, or everything that is united is the same. God damn. Would I do a better job? Probably not. Would I do a better job than Pretty Boy here? God damn right. But this is absolutely a skill. It's not just about the information in your head. I mean, that's a big part of it. And you guys know I'm not super into the policies. In 1946, this judge said that. I don't fucking give a shit about that. So no, probably not. But on that point, I also wouldn't ask a question based on something that on information that I didn't have. So, you know, I think would I do a better job than Charlie Kirk? No, definitely not. But that's because I would be interested in actual conversations, not just winning. As we just saw, while Charlie does have a lot of information, his goal here is clips and winning. That is the goal here. Let's not get it twisted.
All the same person. There was so many people that made up.
Yeah, there
America.
were many of them. You're right.
Okay, yeah, but there were so many people that made up America. There were so many tribes out here before us, and they're the whole reason why we even won the American Revolution. So in that sense, diversity would be a strength.
What?
Huh?
And
yeah, there were many of them. You're right.
Okay, yeah, but there were so many people that made up America. There were so many tribes out here before us, and they're the whole reason why we even won the American Revolution.
Is he trying to say American Indians are the reason that we won the Revolutionary War?
So in that sense, diversity would be a strength. In World War II, we used
I'm just not that guy. I'm just not that guy.
Hold on, we won the revolution because of the French, not because of the Native Americans.
And they're not Americans, so that's still diverse. That still goes to
yeah,
my
but they were
point.
actually they were.
But so to Charlie's point, okay, they were different people, but they were fighting for the same goal. And so when you talk about diversity, you're talking about people who are fighting for different goals. When I talk about unity, I'm talking about different people as well. But the difference between what we're talking about, even though we're both talking about different groups of people, my group of people is working towards the same goal. Your group of different people is working towards different goals. And my group of people is going to be better. That is how you fucking have this conversation.
French, not because of the Native Americans.
And they're not Americans, so that's still diverse. That still goes to
yeah,
my
but they were
point.
actually they were European, of which was our ancestry. But okay, what's the point? Fair enough.
Now we're getting into some woke fucking identity politics bullshit. But at least, you know, he's like, all right, what's the point? But
that still goes to
yeah,
my
but they
point.
were actually they were European, of which was our ancestry. But okay, what's the point? Fair enough. I'm not.
My point is that I believe that your statement that diversity is a weakness is just simply not
okay.
true.
So let's.
I know the French did, but I mean, not that there was no help, but I mean, it's not like, and I mean, forgive me again. I am a lot of this is based on, you know, what I learned in elementary school and watching The Patriot with our boy Mel Gibson, who just got his gun rights back. But were the natives that big of a part of the Revolutionary War? And again, genuinely asking.
I believe that your statement that diversity is a weakness is just simply not
okay.
true.
So let's put it on.
And here's the other thing. Did anybody say diversity is a weakness? Maybe Charlie said that. I wouldn't say that. But the argument is the idea that diversity is our strength is wrong. Not that diversity is an inherent weakness, but just that it's not an inherent strength. Shout out to DSM. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
Believe that your statement that diversity is a weakness is just simply not
okay.
true.
So let's put it on you. Show me an institution, a company, a sports organization that aims to get more diverse for diversity's sake and becomes more excellent. Show me one example.
I'll go even better than that. I'll show you a country that did that. During World War II, we used the Navajo language to counteract German forces. Without their language and the diversity in this country, we wouldn't be able to do any of that.
Do any of what? The same goal that everybody else wanted?
Okay, they were Americans and American soldiers. And in fact, we looked at them as equal human beings and we're able to use a different language to our advantage. In fact, what we were fighting for was the promise of e pluribus unum. We were
There you go, Charlie. He got there eventually.
fighting up against Japanese totalitarianism and Nazi totalitarianism. And I will go even step further. at every organization that tries to make diversity a priority, whether it be Harvard that ignored the Students for Fair Admission course, you lower excellence and you elevate diversity, which lowers the flourishing and the capacity for any organization, company, or group of people to be the best versions of themselves.
So you're very anti-DEI, I suppose.
Oh, yes, very much so. I mean, like, for example.
Yeah, don't say. And as someone who is DEI certified, that is right. I am DEI certified. I can tell you, it is certifiably bullshit.
Do you think the NBA should be half Asian?
I don't care if they're better than any of the players that come
if
out
they're
of our
better,
combine.
exactly. Excellence matters more than skin color. We agree. Yes, better.
There you go.
Better, not
saying diversity is our strength is subverting meritocracy. That is the bottom line here. And so even though the person with the better idea came out, they both did a really bad job. So dilly-dilly to me for being able to understand this bullshit. You're both wrong. I'm right, as always.
Skin color. That's what we are pro-merit, not pro-DEI. That's the point.
If you believe that is true, then you would support DEI because DEI is what defends other people that are foreign.
What are
This is like the same thing where I was trying to say about the other guy, where it makes sense in your head because you don't know enough to understand that what you're saying is really dumb.
What are you talking about?
DEI is literally pro-diversity. We need these protections to be able to protect people that are different.
So how is it?
Do it up! Oh, come on. I want to give you a nice do it up!
That the NBA is 75% black? It's because they're better at basketball than white people generally are. It's not because
that's because of DEI.
No, oh really? What?
Black people are better at basketball than white people because of DEI.
What?
How is that a thing that comes out of your mouth? I'm sorry. I just need a second. What the fuck? That sounds kind of racist. I'm not sure, but Waco said black and brown folks came home from helping to fight fascism and had to deal with the bigotry faced at home. They were not allowed in the victory parades in Europe. Yeah, and that's not a good thing, but that doesn't mean that diversity is a strength. And so the idea of that Charlie eventually got to with e pluribus unum is treating everybody equally under the law, not difference for difference sake. Because what we actually want is unity of a goal, unity of ideas, unity of culture. And so you can be as different as you want within that culture, within fighting for that goal, within trying to make, America, the American dream and all that stuff. He said DEI is a noble caste system. The group is protected because the nobles say so. Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that. But I just want to make sure this guy really did just say that black people are better at basketball than white people because of DEI. DEI is the reason that black people are better at basketball.
Really? So how is it that the NBA is 75% black? It's because they're better at basketball than white people generally are. It's not because
that's because of DEI.
No, oh really? What?
Okay, I was hoping maybe I missed Charlie saying something about like the league getting diversified and people being allowed in. Maybe you could argue that that's DEI, that black people are allowed in the NBA. I would. That's a whole other conversation. But no, he said black people are better than white people at basketball because of DEI.
At basketball than white people generally are. It's not because
that's because of DEI.
No, oh really? What DEI? No, seriously. What DEI program or policy does the NBA have? Do they have a stated goal saying we're only going to hire black people? No, the NBA owners say we want the best basketball players, and they end up with a 75% black league. The NFL, it's a cutthroat business. They want the best possible football players. They end up with 50% of the NFL being a black league. We want the best. We want better. We don't care about the color of your skin. We want merit and we want excellence in this country.
Yes. So this guy, I'm assuming Pretty Boy, has the IQ of a child.
If it wasn't for DEI, we wouldn't be giving other people a chance that aren't American or white. That's the whole point of DEI.
No, it's not.
To give
In fact,
other people a
DEI
chance.
is at odds with the 14th Amendment. Explain to me. The 14th Amendment says.
So Pretty Boy just doesn't understand the difference between civil rights and DEI. They're not the same thing. They're again, like Charlie's saying, they're in a conflict with each other.
You cannot discriminate based on color, based on race. Actually, even more, that's the Civil Rights Act. Going back to the 14th Amendment says literally at its core that we have a human equality because we're all human beings. That DEI says, actually, we understand that, but we're going to give more preferences to this skin color over that skin color because diversity is our strength. Explain to me how that works.
It works because there was so many years of just constant turmoil between people that weren't our skin color. So you need to instill extra protections.
Oh, so you need to discriminate against white people now? That's what
How
it is.
am I discriminating against white people?
Let me give an example. At the Harvard admission, so the Students for Fair Admissions, you're familiar with that Supreme Court case. It's the highest profile Supreme Court case that comes around DEI and college admissions. Are you aware of that?
Go ahead.
You should educate yourself on it. We found out that Asians they got a 300-point deduction on standardized tests versus black students. White people got a 100-point deduction on entrance tests in Harvard University versus black students. This is the Students for Fair Admission Supreme Court case that all of you guys should look up. In fact, in practice, we saw it was much easier to get into Harvard as a black student, regardless if your test scores were lower than a white student, even if your test scores were higher. That is active discrimination against Asian and white people and against everything that we as Americans stand for and that we believe in. That is racism at its core.
Delete to that. That is racism at its core. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we said DEI is trying to reaffirm rights, but it's a caste system because law becomes tiered. Yep. Y'all whites are now second-class citizens.
I agree that it is racism.
Oh, DEI is racism. Can we agree?
DEI was racism.
No, I just said that's racism.
You described something that happened with Harvard admissions.
No, hundreds of schools.
Okay, but you brought up Harvard
because that is the test case. But we saw the documents.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna go off of what you said. You said Harvard. You said it was racism. I said I agree. When Harvard went,
so that is DEI. So you agree DEI is racist. It's still on the screen. You said Harvard. You said it was racism. I said I agreed. That means you are not in favor of DEI.
To court, did they say that DEI allowed them to do that and they only did that because of DEI?
They did it because of affirmative action, which is a outgrowth of DEI. They literally said this was because of our stated affirmative action policies. So affirmative action and DEI are one and the same. They are sister policies of one another. So they said literally the Students for Fair Admission course in front of the Supreme Court that was ruled unconstitutional, by the way, is affirmative action constitutional? And found out, no, actually it's not constitutional to preference one racial group over another when another racial group is as qualified, if not more qualified, just because you want college to everyone to look different. I don't care if college looks different. I care about if you have a competency, if you have excellence, and if you have merit.
Which clearly, as Zippy is saying, they do not. And that, I mean, that's another point when we're talking about education itself and the values. Like Wake Up Mind was talking before about the benefits of having what exactly did you say? Education is crucial for moral and ethical development, forming the foundations of just and virtuous citizens. Absolutely. But if we're not teaching those morals and ethics, or if we're not teaching the underpinnings to be able to decipher those morals and ethics, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Shout out to United. Welcome to the party. Set a big like for Jesus. Thank you so very, very much. You can like the video for the Indian Jesus, or you can like the video for Jesus Christ. Either way, Jesus will appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the party.
College looks different. I care about if you have a competency, if you have excellence, and if you have merit. I care if you are qualified, not whether or not you are black, white, Asian, Mexican. I want the best, not the most colorful.
Okay, but if you realize, if you get rid of the protections that were protecting those people previously, you're going to allow people that are not merit-based to get in.
I'm not trying to get...
I would love to hear this explanation. You realize if you take away the things that go against merit, then it's not going to be meritocratic.
What?
You sure?
That we're protecting those people previously, you're going to allow people that are not merit-based to get in.
I'm not trying to...
On what? How are they getting in if they don't have the merit? We already are saying that we have affirmative action DEI. That's how people can get in that are not merit-based. But if we get rid of those, then by what mechanism is anybody getting into something that they have not merited?
that were protecting those people previously,
Such as?
you're going to allow people that are not merit-based
Such
to get
as,
in.
I'm not trying to get rid of the 14th Amendment.
You're trying to get rid of DEI.
Well, no,
It's already on.
first of all, DEI is not a law. DEI, actually, affirmative action was. DEI is the forceful implementation of racial standarding practices and racial quotas. DEI is basically saying we are going to build a college and organization based on hyper-racialization, not on the pursuit of excellence. At the University of California, in order to get a job at the University of California, you had to submit a diversity statement as the first thing that they would look at, and 75% of white applicants were immediately dismissed upon the review of their diversity statement. That is DEI in practice. That is affirmative action in practice. And can't we both agree we want a colorblind society, not a race-obsessed society? Can't we agree to that?
At the very least, if we don't want a colorblind society, we can say that a colorblind society is better than a race-obsessed society. And so that goes back to my argument about how race relations were the best they ever were in the late 90s. Because that's when the whole, hey man, it's the 90s, I don't see color. That's not the end of race relations, but that's the best it ever was.
Agree. We want a colorblind society, not a race-obsessed society. Can't we agree to that?
You're gonna get me in trouble. You're gonna get me in trouble with the Christians.
If you allow all of society to be colorblind and if you're throwing away all these years of just constant turmoil towards other races, you're going to go towards...
So you don't want colorblind?
What do you mean?
Do you want colorblind? Do you want us to get closer to a society where we care about character, not skin color? Don't you believe that the content of character should matter more than skin color?
I believe that you should not...
Just answer the question.
Be getting rid of protections that are ensuring
like what?
That
tell me what you are talking.
You're quite literally getting rid of
DEI is not a protection. DEI is an elevation. It's a different thing. DEI is not a protection against discrimination. DEI is an elevation, which is discrimination. DEI is that I'm going to take this group of people and promote them not based on anything they've earned. DEI stands for didn't earn it, just so you know. And we're going to elevate them to a place in a position of authority or power and circumstance just because they have a different pigmentation. We think that is immoral and wrong, and everything against what we believe in as Americans. Everything.
Don't forget about the women part of it. You know, you could have pigment or you could have a vagina. Either way. Or you could, make your own vagina. That counts too.
So would you agree that the current federal government...
So you still haven't answered the question.
The administration, that they're not DEI hires, of course. You would agree that they're all there because of merit?
Well, some of them are there because they're friends of the president, but no one was hired because of their race. You know who is a DEI hire? Tim Walz was a DEI hire. They needed a white guy on their ticket because they were doing bad with white men. Newsflash, we still won white men by nearly 30 points. Didn't work. And so they literally only chose Tim Walz because the color of his skin. Kamala Harris was a DEI hire. They said, we need a black woman on our ticket. Ketanji Brown Jackson was a DEI hire. DEI is when you publicly state a criteria where I want a certain race, I want a certain group, I want a certain, skin color, certain pigmentation. So can you point to one person in the Trump administration that was hired because of their race? One person?
I didn't say because of race.
No, that's what DEI is, though.
All right, then, but I simply asked, do you believe that they're all there because of their merit, that they all should be there?
Yeah, I mean, I've defended all of them, of course.
So yes. So what about...
Well, so the Charlie has already kind of undercut Pretty Boy's argument, because I think what Pretty Boy is trying to get at is, okay, well, they weren't picked based on their skin color, but they still didn't get in there based on merit. And to that, I would respond, okay, there's a lot of reasons that somebody could get something that they don't deserve. That doesn't mean we should add another avenue for people to get things that they don't deserve. Come on. Shout out to Guam Tech. Welcome to the party like and shared. Oh, thank you. So very, very much. Again, guys, you know how much sharing the video really does help. It does not matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link. Just by you telling them, I want more people to see this, they will show it to more people. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
Believe that they're all there because of their merit, that they all should be there.
Yeah, I mean, I've defended all of them, of course.
So yes. So what about when Signalgate happened, when you let a reporter
Say that again?
What about Signalgate, when you let a reporter hear about war plans? Do you think that was merit-based?
Well, first of all, we don't even know who did it. So when it's merit-based, you could still make mistakes. Who did it, actually? Who did Signalgate? Who let the reporter in? Tell me.
It was freaking
Who did
Paul.
It? Who? Who? Yeah, you don't know.
Paul.
Actually, we don't know. No one actually knows.
It's like, Paul.
It could have been Mike Waltz. It could have been a staffer. It could have been Dan Caldwell. We actually don't know. So don't come up here professing to know something you don't know. That is actually still an active Department of Justice investigation. Number two, what's that contention? That people might make mistakes and errors? Yes. But you know what? Pete Hegseth is much more qualified than Lloyd Austin, because Pete Hegseth was a frontline warrior and fighter on the front lines of our war. In fact,
it's almost like people are going to make mistakes, full stop. So we should get the best people so we get the minimal mistakes. Not people are going to make mistakes, so let's just maximize that for reasons.
I did not hear a single liberal complain about Lloyd Austin when he was hospitalized without telling anybody for nearly a week that interrupted the chain of command and the flow of our national security when Joe Biden was president. This is the most qualified cabinet in American history that we have seen. People that have fought the wars, people that have run businesses, people that have done the most consequential decisions ever. It's an anti-DEI administration ever. Where we look at Joe Biden, you have Kamala Harris that literally has done nothing meaningful in her life, who was only there because she was a black woman.
Whoa. Charlie, that is not going to stand. That is not going to stand. You cannot say that on my stream, okay? There is a very, very, very important part of modern history. Kamala wrote 107 days, okay?
Harris that literally has done nothing meaningful in her life, who was only there because she was, a black woman and she fit a specific criteria box. And so we asked the question, when you are trying to build the best, shouldn't the best be the only thing you care about, not the color of one's skin? That is why we are pro-merit and anti-DEI.
Oh, so Kamala Harris was a DEI hire then?
Yes, they said
explicitly stated
they needed a person of color on the ticket. I mean,
Okay.
obviously.
Not an attorney, right?
You could still.
I mean, they could have said that, but they didn't. They said we need I'm pretty sure they said a woman of color, but they said a person of color. He said a person of color. I'll go with his quote.
They needed a person of color on the ticket. I mean,
Okay.
obviously.
Not an attorney, right?
You could still be an attorney and be a moron.
Okay. I got you. But a businessman can run for president, right?
And actually,
what? Yes. So can a lawyer. So can a woman of color. The idea here is that regardless of any of those identity things, regardless of any of those immutable characteristics that you were born with, can you do the job well? That's it. I don't know what the block is with these people. I don't understand. We're not saying, nobody is saying, why did you bring that up? What does that mean? Oh, but a businessman can run. Yes. What does that have to do with anything?
I got you. But a businessman can run for president, right?
And actually win twice and still be your president. Yes.
Right. With felonies.
Yup.
I can't vote with a felony, but I can run for president, right?
Yup.
Well, first of all,
yes,
he's not a felon in the traditional sense. He was actually never sentenced for that felony. So upon sentencing, you actually get the felon distinction. So he was convicted but not sentenced. So you must have a very important. He was not sentenced. That's not correct. Sentencing was delayed. He was not sentenced. That's
fuck it. Sentence him. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Clearly, we don't give a fuck about he's a convicted felon. But yes, where does it say convicted felons can't run for office?
not correct. He does not have the official distinction of felon by the time the election happened. Number two,
Quality says they have been indoctrinated into the religion of woke Tardistan. Well, woke Tardation? Yeah. It comes from woke Tardistan.
Let's kind of take a step back. Do you think that there was any lawfare related to President Trump being targeted? 700 years he was facing in federal prison. Do you think there was any lawfare involved in that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We agree.
So
anything else?
Yeah, just one more then. So you believe that someone who was the vice president?
Are you with Dean and Parker's crew?
No.
I think you are, actually.
Of course! Of course! You guys remember Dean and Parker? It's an anxiety pen! And then what was Parker's movie? My attraction does not stop with only females.
No, you're
Oh.
This is Dean, you are not sending your best.
Do you want to see?
Dean, you are not sending your best.
I'm not.
You're not. I can't hear you. You're not sending your best. Anyway, last question.
You think someone who's a vice president isn't qualified to be president?
Correct. Did you not just stand there and act like the person who is currently the president for the second time is not qualified to do that? And then you're going to turn around and be like, oh, so you think so? That's what we call an appeal to authority.
You're not sending your best. Anyway, last question.
You think someone who's a vice president isn't qualified to be president?
She shouldn't have been vice president in the first place.
Why not? They voted for her.
Okay, yes. The point being,
and we voted for Trump. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Is that she was a DEI pick. If your argument, if the hill you want to die on is that Kamala Harris is the best of DEI, good luck with that. I will rest my case. We want merit. You want Kamala Harris. We're going to live in a much better country.
You're goddamn right.
Thank you.
No hat.
Thank you. No hat.
No hat.
No.
If I
I forgot he asked for a hat. I forgot he asked for a hat. And Charlie was like, maybe. And then he was like, nah, loser.
nicely.
No. Thank you.
Really?
Next question. Thank you.
And he was begging. He was begging. Oh, he was begging. Oh, my God.
How are you doing, Kirk? So it's been great. I love hearing the topics. I'm going to be honest. I've agreed with most of what.
Why does this guy simultaneously look 12 and 50? Zoomers, are you okay?
You said today, in all honesty. I do have a real question, though. Sorry for the stupid shirt. I didn't know what I was coming here for today. No.
Pyrokinesis, is that what it said?
Yeah.
And nobody looked at his shirt until he brought it up. That's like on TikTok. One of my the most annoying things is someone will start there. Excuse my hair. I wasn't fucking paying attention to your hair. I don't know what the fuck you look like. You're just some person talking on my fucking phone.
Yeah. So what I came here for is, so on the topic of abortion, I do not agree.
I was like, they really do love those freebies. Hey, that gets a dilly dilly. That gets a dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. All right, let's back this up again.
Yeah. So what I came here for is, so on the topic of abortion, I do not agree with most of it. I think there are multiple situations, though, where in the extreme where they should be allowed. I'm not talking about the 2% chance, I'm talking about rape and the chance of the mother and the child both dying. With the child dying, would you rather have the one death or the two deaths for both of it?
Oh, if the child is gonna, so do you mean like when the uterine wall gets torn and there's an ectopic pregnancy?
Complete.
Yeah.
So those are two different situations. Life of the mother and or child is one situation or one type of exception, and rape is a different one. So those are two very different things. We said, look at pictures from 40 plus years ago. A 20-year-old looks like a 40-year-old today. Stress kills, genes remember. Well, they're not doing well. They're not doing that. And speaking of TikTok, there was a trend on TikTok where, there's a whole thing about, I think millennials look younger than than Gen Z. And so people were like, how old do you think I am? And most of the millennials, we got ages much lower than our real age. And people in their early 20s were getting like 40. It's like, you should not have done this. You should not have done this challenge. All right, I'm back in.
So you do mean like when the uterine wall gets torn and there's an ectopic pregnancy?
Complete failure for both deaths.
So again, if the baby's dead, that's not an abortion. That's a removal of a corpse, right?
Okay.
So that's a technically different thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfectly fine. But then the real question is on the question of rape.
Yeah. So let me push your boundaries a little bit.
Now that's a different thing. If the mother is going to die, then those are that I don't know exactly how the law is written, but as the typical conservative position, that is a valid exception. And I'm pretty sure most cases, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think in most cases that's what they call an ectopic pregnancy, and that is not considered an abortion at all because it's an ectopic pregnancy. That's why again, it's just two different rape and life of the mother, two completely different points
on the rape.
But then the real question is on the question of rape.
Yeah. So let me push your boundaries a little bit on the rape question. Why don't you articulate?
So before he does that, a caller said, if it's a choice between saving the mom or the baby, that is not the same as killing one when both can live. Why is that so fucking hard to understand? Exactly.
Articulate your argument. Why do you think that the human life, even though there's something evil and unspeakable with rape, should not get human rights?
I would
put a 1 in the chat if you think he's gonna. All right, I'm gonna do something. No, he's not gonna say raise your hand. He's like, I'm gonna do something. Turn around. He's gonna tell old baby here. Turn around. Be like, I bet you there is at least 5 people here who were conceived through rape. Can you tell me who they are? Or he's gonna hold up the ultrasounds. Let's say
my life, even though there's something evil and unspeakable with rape, should not get human rights.
My real perspective on it is if I heard that my child was raped, and like my 16, 18-year-old daughter, if she was violated in a way that she wouldn't be able to, well, she feels like she couldn't trust men, she couldn't do something like that.
I get that.
No, and the same thing could happen to men. I'm not saying this is a one-sided coin. There's been multiple court cases.
Well, yeah, but men can't get pregnant.
This is a men getting raped, and then where they have to pay child support, and it combines into them being financially stuck for multiple years until that court case is even finished.
Really? I have not heard about that. So a woman raping a man, I mean, we heard about the thing with what was it, Drake, where chick took the condom, but I mean, I don't know if you consider that rape. Definitely sexual harassment and assault or something like that. But that's an interesting case I'd never really thought of, where a woman is maybe dude's passed out and then slips him a blue chew and then. Interesting. I did not anticipate on thinking about that right here.
And it combines into them being financially stuck for multiple years until that court case is even finished. But with the problem of it, I think if a woman or man is raped, it can cause multiple financial restraints on it. Say the woman, she might be pregnant and she goes into a job, but she cannot continue with it because she might go into maternity leave, which could put her at risk of.
So all of these things, Charlie is just waiting for the kid to say why then, which thing makes it okay to then take a life. And none of them do.
And she goes into a job, but she cannot continue with it because she might go into maternity leave, which could put her at risk of quitting.
Would you agree she could put the baby up for adoption?
Yeah, but I think to a point, it's the
But the trauma. She's already been raped, so let's traumatize another person.
Yeah, and here's the point, man. And like, it's still the taking of a human life. So you have something evil. Let me tell you my position, rape. We do not believe you should have another evil thing on top of an evil action. In fact, let me go further. It's a false choice to say that, well, a woman is raped, awful, terrible, and it happens way too often.
Yes.
And someone is raped, that an abortion means no trauma, perfect life.
No, I'm not.
That's a great point. That's a great point. The way that they talk about abortion, and I mean, sadly, it's getting closer to this than as time goes on, but they act as if, you just wipe it away and it's a clean slate. I've never had an abortion. I've never been with anybody who's had an abortion, but I'm pretty sure it don't work like that. Great point, Charlie. Great point.
Yes.
And someone is raped, that an abortion means no trauma, perfect life.
No, I'm not.
And I want to make sure that's clear, that at times the abortion can get even more trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Not always.
So then, to use Charlie's argument, we've got an evil on top of an evil on top of an evil.
It depends on the case, depends on the circumstance, depends on the scenario.
And I'd like to argue that further too, even when the mother, because there are multiple cases of the mother just giving birth to the child out of the same respect that you have of it. And there have been multiple cases of that, the mother or the father in the situation proceeding to do something to the child in a way that could ruin the child's life. There's been multiple.
Yeah, but that's also that's just a different crime then. Like for any reason, you shouldn't hurt your children like that. Like I understand that he's saying there's a greater chance of that, but anybody can abuse their children. Anyone, anybody, anybody can harm their children.
The mother or the father in the situation proceeding to do something to the child in a way that could ruin the child's life. There's been multiple court cases of the parents leaving children on the road, like at fire stations. The fire station is the best answer. So
yeah, negligent parents aren't only people who've been raped.
But what I come to it is, I think with multiple cases of there being statutory rape, other kinds of rape, that let's say the statutory rape, the 16-year-old girl, she gets raped by someone older than her. She should not be put under the pressure of getting out of school, having the pressure on that because she has multiple things already going on.
You can go to school and be pregnant
under her life. Why?
Or you can be homeschooled.
Should she be pressured into holding on to that because something?
Because that's the same reason if she only was born with one leg. Why should she have to live with that? Because she only has one leg. What do you mean? She should have to live with that because that's her life.
School, having the pressure on that because she has multiple things already going on in her life. Why should she be pressured into holding on to that because something horrible happened to her?
Well, something horrible happened to me. And, it's just so horrible that I just can't work ever again. And so, I'm going to kill somebody because of it. What? How is that an argument?
It still doesn't justify the elimination of another human life.
So should we cripple someone else's life in the way of that? Or
yeah, I mean, I guess the question is...
No, the rapist crippled that person's life. Why are we absolving rapists of rape? If a rapist rapes somebody, then the rapist is the one who traumatized that person.
Is murder justifiable if it makes someone's life easier?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. What's the answer?
Should we pressure people into holding it? Or
answering a question with a fucking question. Even acknowledging it's a good question is not answering the question.
Should we pressure people into holding it. Or no, you got me there. You got me.
There you go.
No, you got me.
All
Good stuff. Well, that was my only question.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. I mean, baby grandpa, you know, what's this Texas A&M? They're not the most attractive bunch, but they are getting some interesting conversations. I will give them that. Guys, we are coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
No, you got me there. You got me. No, you got me. Good stuff. Well, that was my only question.
Thank you.
Would I be able to get a signed hat?
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
The other guy didn't get one.
No, I missed.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I don't mean to ask for much, but
You want me to sign it?
yeah,
Yes.
but can you sign another one for me too?
All right. You're getting greedy, but sure.
It's because I got track practice in like 30 minutes. I'm on a track team here, and
What do you do? What do you run?
400.
Well, that's tough, man. Jeez, good for you.
Yeah, it is tough. It's a tough battle. But anyway,
How long is that? 400 meters, I assume, right? How long is 400 meters? Okay, so 400 yards. Like, give me a fucking feet. Okay, so that's a mile. Okay, so quarter of a mile. Okay, he runs a quarter mile. Damn, living life quarter mile at a time.
Jeez, good for you.
yeah, it is tough. It's a tough battle. But anyway,
You get 2. Good for you, man.
you're the real. All right, my question
And little pretty boy couldn't even get one. What a loser!
was, and actually not even question, but I overheard you saying like about how the NBA is 75% black, and which is, I mean, it's true, but you know, the NBA built a dream team over the Olympics, and they almost lost to a whole bunch of non-black players. What do you think about that?
They didn't. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
I mean, they did still win.
They did.
But out of the team they almost lost to,
Yeah.
I think only 2 of them were on active NBA rosters. I think
Right.
so, right?
Right.
Jokic and one other. I could be wrong.
And
So
what's his name? Rubio?
So let me explain this to you on DEI. So DEI is this belief that we're going to force people in positions,
Right.
a quota.
Right.
So the NBA is a great example. So right now the NBA is 75% black.
Mhm.
If all of a sudden the NBA said, we want more diversity, it's too black.
Yeah.
Right? Because we want to have more diversity.
Right.
And they would say, we're not allowed to have any more than 30% of the NBA be black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, real quick, guys. I'm sorry. This is bothering me. I don't know if it could be a number of things. There could be a platform. It could just be a really tall dude. She could be really short. It could be the angle. But how tall is he? And how tall is she? Right, this chick right above the chat here. They look like they're standing on the same ground, but there's like a 1.5 foot difference. He's standing right in front of the railing. Is there a platform up there? I don't know. Okay, anyway, sorry. Moving on.
More diversity.
Right.
And they would say, we're not allowed to have any more than 30% of the NBA be black.
Mm-hmm.
Would the quality of the NBA go down?
The quality of the NBA, arguably right now, yeah, I would. But
let's like take the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So the
I mean, there's
NFL's
not a single Caucasian corner, so
yeah, no, for sure. So
Charlie. I hope I misheard that. Did he just say for show? It says it in the captions. Did he really go? Yeah, for show. Why did you say that?
not a single Caucasian corner, so
yeah, no, for sure. Like,
hey, yo, Mr. Code Switcher.
So
yeah, I mean, there's not a single Caucasian corner, so
yeah, no, for sure.
For sure, y'all. You know it's good, y'all. Charlie Kirk up in the building.
Right?
Okay.
So
Yeah. I mean, there's not a single Caucasian corner, so
yeah, no, for sure. So
Cooper DeJean's not a corner, but he's great though.
So half of the
for sure. He is close. He's definitely close to the camera, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't fit. Like everybody who was standing there was closer to the camera, and I only noticed now. It looks like he's just that tall because other people look also like normal. She looks like she's probably my height. And then you probably, you have more normal sized people. But if he was in the crowd, he'd probably be about, I would guess, about as tall as the white dude here with the hat on. But it was, I don't know. It took me out. For show.
So.
I mean,
one more.
Caucasian corner, so
yeah, no, for sure. So
he's not a corner, but he's great though.
So half of and I think you can see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, no,
half
sure.
of the NFL.
For sure.
If all of a sudden, Roger Goodell, boo, we don't like Roger Goodell. He's bad for many reasons. If he came and he's like, hey, diversity is our strength.
Right.
We're only going to say 30% of the NFL is black. You would have other unqualified white people that would then get positions in the NFL, and the quality of play would slip.
Right.
So you get the argument.
Yeah.
You then extrapolate that to other walks of life.
Right.
I know, but he's a runner, and I mean, runners don't typically. I mean, tall, maybe, but he's a runner. I'm not saying that out loud.
Quality of play would slip.
Right.
So you get the argument.
Yeah.
Either way, well, I think it's mirroring. Which is like, I mean, depending on how we're defining it, like if that is how you normally would talk to people, but you don't normally talk like that on the mic or whatever, then it's code switching. It's just like that's how you talk, but you put on a like this is kind of how I talk in real life, but not really, because I'm very aware that I'm talking to a microphone and that I need to be clear and you guys need to understand my words. Like you guys, you have no idea how quiet my voice is. Like at work, they're always like, "Oh, why are you always mumbling?" Like usually, like I don't know. I usually just I can't even do it right now. That's code switching. But mirroring seems to be like, oh, well, he's talking like that, so I'm going to talk like that. When that's not how you talk. You're goddamn right.
That would then get positions in the NFL, and the quality of play would slip.
Right.
So you get the argument.
Yeah.
You then extrapolate that to other walks of life.
Right.
You think to yourself, let's just hire the best.
Yeah.
And the NFL does hire the best.
It should be the best no
Totally.
matter what the thing
Skin
is.
color.
Like, but I don't think there should be restrictions saying
For sure.
anybody. As long as you're
I
good
agree.
at what you do, it doesn't really matter.
I agree.
All right. Well, then we stand in agreement then.
For
And,
sure.
you have a race upcoming, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. I'm about to head out to Penn Relays, one of the most historical track meets in the United States.
For sure, bro. For sure. For sure. I can't believe he did that. That is hilarious to me. I don't know if you guys are cracking up, but I am dying.
This Wednesday. And we're ranked number 2 right now in the nation, the track team.
Wow. So who's number 1? Oregon or
USC, but they just got that this week. Don't worry about that, though. We'll handle it.
So
that's one thing I definitely miss about college is the school spirit of having a reason to care about teams for no other reason than it's like this is us. This us. And it kind of sucks because I forget exactly what happened, but it was like very recently before I went to college. My school had some bullshit with their football team, and I think they cheated or something. And because Ryder's a D1 school, but they don't have a football team. So luckily I live close enough to Rutgers where like Rutgers football is a big fucking deal. So I got to experience that. But basketball was a bigger deal, which is not as big a deal if you're in a small conference. But yeah, I mean, school spirit is high community. I'll give you a dilly on that. It is underrated. And it further goes to my point that there are other ways to get people to be united in a community and goal outside of Jesus.
are you on the 4x4 relay team too?
Yes, sir.
Are you the anchor or
no?
No.
First of all, I appreciate that.
Bless you, man. Thank you for being here.
All
Thank
right.
Hey, Charlie.
Hello, thank you. Come again. That's one of those dudes. You don't need to ask if he's a feather or a dot. That's a dot, motherfucker, all day. All right. Representing. Let's see. I already don't like his shirt, but I got to ride. Am I allowed to say that? I was going to say the grinder without the first R. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. Well, I mean, like, I'm allowed to say that, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. But either way, He's here riding for the Browns.
Like a heck of an athlete.
Thank you. No, you're much better. God bless you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for
appreciate
being
it,
here.
man.
Thank you.
Come on,
Hey,
Brownie
Charlie.
boy.
Yep.
Hey, first of all, I appreciate the hat. It's great. And thank you for everything you do here. I have a question. I consider myself a Keynesian. When we talk about economy, I know.
Okay, all right.
I know.
it's
You're
gonna
a
go
libertarian
everyone's
in a
heads,
bit.
but no, I'm not a Keynesian.
I know. You're more Hayek, more Mises.
Sort of. But
Sort
not,
of. Yeah,
not-
fair enough.
I actually think deficits matter.
Yeah, fair enough. And I do too. But the question I
He
have
didn't, but yeah.
specifically, 2021, Texas, we faced a winter storm, and it was awful. We lost a couple hundred people. Some of my friends, they didn't have a place to stay. They were left out in the cold. It was
R.I.P. R.I.P.
pretty bad for all of us. And we face the ending of ERCOT. ERCOT is our power line system. It's the thing that keeps us running. And it wasn't forced to stand up to federal regulations. It wasn't forced to stand up to national standards. And because of that, a lot of Texans face being left out, being killed. And
so I don't know what this thing that he's talking about, but I already, based on how our government works, this is my assumption. I am very likely wrong because I don't know. This is just what I'm gathering from what he's saying right now. That whatever ERCOT, I think he said, is something that the Texas government would have been able to better address had there not been some type of federal fight. So I know that's kind of vague, but that's what I'm going to guess.
Face relations.
So it's
It's the thing that keeps running. And it wasn't forced to stand up to federal regulations. It wasn't forced to stand up to national standards. And because of that, a lot of Texans face being left out, being killed.
So his contention is that if ERCOT was at federal regulation, then those people would not have died. And I have a feeling that that's not a sound argument.
And I want to understand from your perspective, someone who is more anti-regulation, I'm more pro-regulation. How would you square that? How can we allow an anti-regulation state to be implemented and also protect?
So how did deregulation play into the Texas storms? Build that up.
That's my question. And yeah, is it me saying government regulations are half the reasons people are out on the streets instead of shelters? NIMBY! Make asylums great again.
Implemented and also protect.
So how did deregulation play into the Texas storms? Build that up.
It's a great question. I think that the way that it played in the storm is because our ERCOT system was not forced to hand up to national standards. That is the deregulation of our system. It was actually set up in a way that did not need to be set up to those standards.
Okay, then maybe it should.
Okay, fair enough. I
know nothing about it.
Fair
So
enough. Hey,
taking your word for it, maybe it should.
I'll go maybe something that you can engage with more. Banking, healthcare, clean air and water. These are places where regulation really matters. This is
fair enough. And so far, I will say that this is, I need to know, I don't know the cultural thing around that word, but the sand N words are bringing the heat.
Banking, healthcare, clean air and water. These are places where regulation really matters.
This is some regulation.
I think a lot. I think we need more. Do you think we need more or less regulation than we have now? Okay,
but
can
it
you help me
depends.
explain why?
Because the government is bad at doing things, and companies are good at doing things that need to be done.
No. Sorry, I think actually, can you help me? Can you help me
I
understand?
mean,
why?
like Dodd-Frank, for example. Do you know about Dodd-Frank?
Yeah, the Volcker Rule.
Yeah, it's actually made. Well, actually, it's not the Volcker Rule.
I know, but like it precipitated the Volcker Rule.
Correct, but it also created bigger banks and more powerful banks.
Yeah.
So more regulation actually made the biggest banks more powerful, and small banks actually were strangled out.
It also created circuit breakers so that when we have massive runs in our stock markets, we don't face a market collapse. That's important. That matters.
Sure, that's fine. But the essence is true. We have less community banks now 10 years later than we did 10 years ago.
We're also in a safer system now than we were 10 years ago. We don't face
safer for who? Safer for who?
It's the 2008 financial crisis.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, if you credit that to Dodd-Frank, then fine. But I think it's a tragedy that the local community bank is going away.
I don't mind that. I don't. I think that's fair.
You don't mind the point, or do you mind?
No, I don't mind the
disappearance of the local bank.
No, I don't mind the point.
Oh, I'm sorry, got it.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that.
Okay, I was gonna be like, well, oh man, if you're, that local community is a big deal, but he's saying, okay, you're making a good point.
We can. I don't think regulations have to be encumbering. I think they can be supportive. I come from a policy institute. I come from
They can be, but to be saying the problem with regulations is regulatory capture. So you have many regulations that are worthless to create negative outcomes. And then it just, more regulation means more bureaucracy. And if so let's go a different way. And instead of saying, okay, now Texas ERCOT has to be at the federal standard. We just had the storm. Who can we hold accountable? The company who's supposed to be doing this. The company, hey, if you are not above the U.S. federal standards, then we're not paying. Can't do that with government regulations.
I don't think regulations have to.
I know I oversimplified that, but it's the principle.
Be encumbering. I think they can be supportive. I come from a policy institute. I come from an economic background, and I fundamentally think that the regulation of the United States economy, through in any sector, we can talk about car regulations where there are we were now forced to catalytic converters. That was a Clean Air and Water Act. That was something that was done in California, and it didn't force our car manufacturers.
All right, I want to ask a question, and it might be racist, but I'm giving the pass to be racist against Indians for the purposes of this question. Does this guy talk like an Indian? And I don't mean the accent. I don't mean the accent. I mean his word choice, just everything else about the way that he talks. Let's listen without.
It was a Clean Air and Water Act. That was something that was done in California, and it didn't force our car manufacturers to be less. It didn't force them to cut corners. It forced them to stand up.
If you didn't know, would you assume that person was Indian, or is it more that knowing that person's Indian, it makes more sense? Well, that too, but they all are. I mean, hey, as somebody who has done one of these against a big name, it's a lot harder than you think. Yeah, exactly. You ain't in front of a whole crowd. But that's not the question. Does he sound like an Indian? If that doesn't make sense to you, that's fine.
Car manufacturers to be less, it didn't force them to cut corners. It forced them to stand up. It forced them to raise the bar. That's a good thing. That's something we need as an American economy.
Okay, yeah, what's the contention? I mean, I want clean air, I want clean water.
Yeah.
But at times, these regulations can
So can
strangle
you
innovation.
tell me where we would want
the private sector? He says it sounds normal. All right, I don't know. Maybe because he reminded me of somebody else who's Indian, who none of us like. If you've been here for a while, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But I'm not trying to use names. But he reminds me of him, and I didn't like it. So just wondering. Thanks for your input.
That's a good thing. That's something we need as an American economy.
Very, very good.
Okay, yeah, what's the contention? I mean, I want clean air, I want clean water.
Yeah,
but at times these regulations can
So
strangle
can you tell
innovation.
me where we want to deregulate? Where do you want to deregulate industry?
Get rid of Dodd-Frank, get rid of some of the onerous environmental standards, get rid of the electric vehicle mandate.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about the electric
I do,
mandate.
yeah.
It's terrible that car manufacturing must be a certain percentage by a certain year.
I would quibble with things on like Dodd-Frank and like I think that our clean air or water that stuff.
Fine, I got it, but the electric vehicle mandate has been a disaster.
The electric vehicle mandate, I'm not.
You know what it's done? It's actually made Elon Musk richer. So in that regard,
I'm not against. I'm not against billionaires being billionaires. I'm not with that.
No, I'm not saying you are. So you're asking me for specifics. I'm just spouting off the
I'm
top
saying
of my head.
two of the two specifics that you gave, I think, are really important that we have. Dodd-Frank regulation, make sure our system stays stable. Like
Sort
that
of,
is
not
what
really.
is shown to be done.
There's other again. It's been admittedly a long time since I've debated Dodd-Frank.
Fair enough.
So I'm super rusty
I
on
get
this. But there's a lot more that went into the stabilization of our banking system than just Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, and if we could like the stuff that went into the stabilization of our banking system was like the TARP Act and things that Obama did.
Targeted Assets Relief Program.
Yes, exactly. And making sure that whenever we have toxic assets, that we can sell them off to the American government and they can hold the burden. They can give loans to federal banks so that we actually make money off of those those loans that we give. And the American consumer made American citizen made money.
We're not that far off.
Hey, shout out to Matthew King. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Shout out to Colorado. Or maybe you say Colorado. Either way, welcome to the party.
those loans that we give. And the American consumer made American
Fair enough.
citizen made money.
We're not that far off. I tend to be more in favor of entrepreneurs and market forces. Regulation can be, not always, an extra tax on the small guy. And so if you're an innovator and if you have a bunch of regulation, it is easier for the bigger company to comply with all that regulation than the small innovator or the entrepreneur.
It can be. Compliance.
Just look at COVID. Just look at COVID. Were small businesses able to keep up with the regulations that we needed for clean air? No. Is that a good thing? No. Context said, speaking about talking like in India, check for Insta. What does that mean? Check my Instagram? Is that what you're saying? Oh, that's what that was. Okay, there was an app missing from my homepage, and I couldn't remember what it was. How the fuck can I get rid of this? I don't even know where my fucking Instagram is. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, hold on. How do I send this to? Okay, am I logged in here? I should be logged in here. Instagram. So guys, especially if you're a fucking mod, just put the link in the chat. But otherwise, send shit to anywhere but Instagram. All right, what do we got here? What do we got here? Hold on. That's funny because my friend Killer Shug actually liked this. So I gotta take a picture of that and be like, yo, why are you laughing at this shit? That's funny. Not worth the side quest, but I appreciate the humor. All right. This motherfucker. Anyway, diving back in here. We're good with that, right? Good. We good. Oh, thank you for the share, Zippy. All right, diving back in, yeah. Ding, 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 ding. That's going to be stuck in my head all night now. Especially the dance. You got to unscrew the light bulb and pet the dog. You can do it because you are not like me.
Extra tax on the small guy. And so if you're an innovator and if you have a bunch of regulation, it is easier for the bigger company to comply with all that regulation than the small innovator or the entrepreneur.
It can be. Compliance costs are a real problem.
And they're going through the roof.
But like IP, for example, is a place where we really could use more regulation to help small businesses.
I don't know about that. That's interesting. Do you think we should have stronger patent laws? Or
no, I think
that's the IP.
I'm not a favor of like all kinds of regulate every industry. I think deregulation things like housing make a lot of sense. But when we talk about like when we talk about IP laws, when we talk about like
there you go. There you go, Zippy. I did not mean to hit that button, but he's hitting on your shit, the IP rights, that I still don't fully understand why we get rid of IP rights and still have IP or don't need IP. I don't get it either way. We are talking about it. Shout out to Guam Tag. That's enough. We definitely could do paid side quests. I am definitely open to that. Of course, a treat for Morty. Thank you so very, very much. I don't know if we're gonna hit the goal, guys. I don't know if we're gonna hit the goal, but that is 2 out of 15 and 7 out of 50. Thank you so very, very much.
Like when we talk about IP laws, when we talk about like
last point, because I want to get to the
next. This is the last point. I guess the thing I just want to say is when we quibble about policy rather than quibble about, I know we've been talking about social, and I get that culture where stuff matters. I agree that it does matter, but I think that the policy matters a lot more.
I get it, but policy only comes out of cultural battles. We're not that far off.
Yeah.
Again, I err on the side that we overregulate because small guys have problems to be able to compete. That's it.
We can make tiered systems so that
we can, but
we do that. We make sure that the federal businesses are not left out to dry.
So the federal registry is so cumbersome. It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
How much does this actually protect the American consumer? At times, a lot. At times, almost nothing.
I don't know. Zippy, what are you thinking about this conversation? Because as I've just said, I don't fully understand how the getting rid of IP rights works. And I get it's not a simple thing, but just based on what they're saying.
How much does this actually protect the American consumer? At times, a
lot,
lot.
man.
At times, almost nothing. At times, it actually hurts. And so there's plenty of other instances or
You're
examples
right that
of
it can hurt, but it does that to make a more stable system, and
That's what they want. That's the intent, not the output.
It is the output. That is the point I'm making. It is the output. We can see how it's the output. We can look at economic
You're not
data.
defending every regulation.
Of course, I'm not defending every regulation, but I don't need to defend every regulation to defend the concept of regulation.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, I appreciate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. I mean, hey, representing India. This is empty. Oh, we just got, okay. I was just thinking, am I gonna open another one or not? But Guamtech keeps the party raging, so we drinking.
Mr. Simple, you've said some very nasty things about me online. So the
Ooh, we got a beef. We got a heat. They know what's good. Let's see.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Simple, you've said some very nasty things about me online. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Simple question, Simple Black Theory. What do you think about blind hiring? Are you for blind hiring?
No.
No. So why not? Because blind hiring, for those you don't know, is based on merit, where you don't
it's
look.
not.
So what's blind hiring?
Blind hiring would be that you do not put the race actually when you submit for, actually don't even see the person when you interview them for a job.
No. That's one part of blind hiring. There's
Okay,
multiple ways to do blind hiring. But at the end of the day, blind hiring is exactly not knowing the person's race.
Okay, so then stop using the terminology that you're disagreeing on and talk about the actual situation. So like, okay, well, then let's not call it blind hiring. Let's talk about, this is what I'm talking about.
Age or gender. That's based on merit. Like you said, you want merit, correct?
Sounds good to me. So, I mean, I don't know too much about what the plans of blind hiring practices are, but conceptually, yeah, because of the fact that I am merit-based, I am completely in favor of the concept of blind hiring. But I don't know much about what that actually looks like in practice.
Age or gender. That's based on merit. Like you said, you want merit, correct?
Well, hold on. Those things can factor into merit as well. For example, if I'm trying to hire for an Amazon warehouse worker, and all of a sudden I find out that they're at 69 with 1 year left from retirement and the age is not disclosed, wouldn't I prefer to have a 24-year-old man than a 69-year-old woman who's overweight?
Okay, so now we're not doing anything on the, so it's not, sorry, because I was thinking they were just talking about race. Because he said, if there's many ways to do it, you just don't talk about the race. Because in this situation, definitely age and weight matter for a physical job.
And the age is not disclosed. Wouldn't I prefer to have a 24-year-old man than a 69-year-old woman who's overweight?
You're moving the goalpost. Let's bring it back here.
No, I'm not.
Moving the goalpost? What you talking about, Willis?
Hiring.
No,
right?
you said race, sex, and age is not incorporated.
Okay, yeah, and then I'm not. I thought this was just about race. I don't think you should need to put your race on anything to get a job. But if this is about age and gender, no, what? Come on, what are we doing here? So going back to the IP rights, CB says corporations pay government to steal IP. 70% of clones are legal, but if you do not have an army of lawyers, you can't make things. AI is going to gut corporations' endless 70% clones from everywhere. Disney has said don't use AI on their IP, but they are using it on other IP. IP rights is rules for thee, not for me. IP rights are not applied equally to all. Well, what is? I mean, what is? Right? Ain't nothing applied equally to all. We gotta have a deeper conversation. It's too much. It's too much for here. But I do want to understand.
No, you said race, sex, and age is not incorporated.
Correct.
I think you should have a full picture of a human being is when you hire them.
So you care about diversity?
No, actually, I don't.
How? Why?
What? No. If I want to hire only white men, then knowing that someone is not white or not a man would be relevant to keeping the lack of diversity.
Stupid. Because that's basically merit. You're focusing solely on merit. You said you want meritocracy.
Just to be clear, if diversity happens naturally through meritocracy, great. If all of a sudden we have people that, well, no,
what? No. If that was DEI, then we wouldn't need the acronym DEI because that would already be how things worked.
By force.
So let me
DEI,
explain that.
No.
Go ahead.
I got to interject. DEI is that we are going to forcibly make an institution more colorful.
Right.
We're going to forcibly make an institution more black. Where if all of a sudden, if half of Texas A&M was black because it was all on merit, praise God, that's an amazing thing. It doesn't matter. If all of a sudden, for example, if the NBA is 75% black because it's on merit, great. terrific. If the NFL is half black because on merit, we don't want to force race. We want excellence and meritocracy over race in every possible circumstance.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, God, this guy. Is this guy on the Majority Report? Because in the same way that there's like a vibe with the Dean and Parker crew, and I'm mad at myself for not catching Pretty Boy. I called him Pretty Boy, and I didn't catch it. But he seems like someone who would be right at home on the Majority Report.
And meritocracy over race in every possible circumstance.
Right. Yeah. My turn. Okay. So
My turn.
let's get
Isn't it your turn over? It's my turn. Oh my God. Shut up. Grow up. Shut up.
The NBA, for instance, right? Can we both agree at one point black people weren't allowed into the NBA, and then they allowed them to be in NBA? Wouldn't that be considered diversity? Wouldn't that be
No, that's just equality. That's just equality. They didn't force anybody to go into the NBA. Name the player that they forced to go into the NBA to make sure that was whatever percent black.
Stupid.
That didn't happen.
NBA, and then they allowed them to be in NBA? Wouldn't that be considered diversity? Wouldn't that be DEI in itself?
No. It's actually the opposite. So you're
How
mistaken,
so?
my friend. It's actually, we're getting rid of any racial stereotyping. What happened was actually a form. No, DEI is racial stereotyping.
So
what actually was before was a form of white preference DEI, which is white supremacy or whatever. And then we got rid of it. We said, we're not going to discriminate it. And the quality of play got better. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, because basing things on race is typically really bad.
Difference between the two. You see,
Yeah,
it's very important. Well, no, actually, I'm talking to both you and the crowd, right? I'm talking to both.
Oh,
right?
I'm the
So
main
what ended up
character,
what
bro.
you want is you actually want to,
like I said, right at home on the Majority Report. Right at home on the Majority Report. Get this guy a job. Well, I mean, give me content, but you know what I mean. Zippy said the WNBA forces a lot to go and play because no one else would. Oh, poor WNBA. Will you ever get the respect you deserve? Not from me.
I'm talking to both you and the crowd, right? I'm talking to both, right? So what ended up, what you want is you actually want to bring back a form of how Major League Baseball and the NBA used to work before we desegregated.
So we can agree that Executive Order 11246 is what basically brought in DEI, correct?
I'm not. I think that might be it. Is that the affirmative action one? I don't know.
No, it's not the affirmative action. It's for DEI. So within that executive order, where does it say that they're solely focused on making people?
So now we're going to go to, well, it doesn't specifically say we want to force race on you. So what's your proof that they're forcing race on you?
Stupid.
This is first order thinking. This is the same reason they don't understand that the MS-13 Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia things, that's an MS-13. How do you know? How do you know? Because I'm not fucking retarded like you are, dumbass.
Within that executive order, where does it say that they're solely focused on making people get into jobs? For instance, like United Airlines, right? You mentioned that, well, let's pause that. I'm going to get to here. So for an example of DEI is basically your daughter, right? She decides to get a job, right? And unfortunately, it's that time of the month. She goes into the bathroom. Calm down. She goes into the bathroom. Stop.
What you talking about, Willis?
She's going into the bathroom.
You're losing the audience, man.
I don't care. I'm talking to you. So she goes into the bathroom, right? And she gets
So she goes into the bathroom.
She goes into the bathroom and
gets her period.
It's a tampon or a pad that's been given from the job. That is DEI. That is literally yes.
So a homeboy's hungry, right? And he goes in the kitchen and he's black, but there's chicken wings there. That's DEI. Maybe they just ordered lunch for the office.
Stupid. Yeah. You don't know.
Not the toilet paper in the men's bathroom. That's not DEI. Like I said, this man would be right at home on the Majority Report. I don't know how you become this kind of person. I don't know. I don't know.
That is DEI. That is literally yes.
Is it though? Come on, man.
Yeah. You don't know. That's great.
Objection. Oh my God. The irony of saying tampons are DEI. You don't know. I mean, I feel like every single stream we get the worst projection we've had in Indian Jesus history.
Hey, so if you don't know DEI, it's so you can win. Go ahead.
Educate us, bro. Educate us.
You don't want to do that, right? Or be quiet and you can talk. Thank you. So, right.
Oh, lost his spot. Lost his spot.
Can I continue? Thank you. So
we're waiting on you.
All right. So yes, because in Executive Order 11246, they say that DEI is focusing on a safer environment.
Let's just pull this up.
In Executive Order 11246.
Executive Order 11246. All right, well, we'll just go with the thing, or the basic AI overview for now. President Lyndon Johnson, 1965, prohibited federal contracts and subcontractors, from discriminating in employment based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Mandated affirmative action programs to promote. Oh, come on! I'm trying to highlight things. Leave me the fuck alone. All right. However, Trump issued an executive order that revoked that executive order. This new order, entitled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity, essentially eliminated affirmative action requirements previously in place. That sounds like what I voted for.
Oh, my thing's dead. All right, so yes.
Zibby, thank you, brother. You have a good one. Yeah. Dilly does that. Being this wrong takes training. I'm speechless.
Because in Executive Order 11246, they say that DEI is focusing on a safer environment and a more equitable environment within the workplace and the hiring process. Let's look at Google. Google actually does DEI. You know how they do DEI? Give me an example. Do you know Google's DEI? I'm pretty sure you don't.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Shouldn't, of course not.
What is your DEI initiative?
I actually don't know the specifics.
Probably get a bunch of blacks, gays, and women's if I had to guess.
Specifics, because I don't know every company specifics. However,
I got it. I know this. Oh my God, you are the worst type of person.
Let me ask you a question. When you're hiring somebody, would you rather hire someone that's black?
It's going with the hands. All right, yeah. What you got? You gonna do the drug dealer one? All right, bro. What you got? Yeah. Who are you? Nobody. The question is, who do you think?
However, let me ask you a question. When you're hiring somebody, would you rather hire someone that's black or someone that there is excellent?
So that's what we're talking about. That's not what.
Just answer the question. I get so triggered when people can't answer simple fucking questions. Would you rather hire somebody who's excellent or hire somebody who's black? It's a very simple
hire someone that's black or someone that there is excellent.
So that's what we're talking about. That's not what
Yep, that's what we're talking about. So you need to answer the question.
DEI is.
Actually, it is. So let me prove it to you. As I said, according to the Student for Fair Admissions Supreme Court case, black students were able to get into Harvard with
affirmative action, not DEI.
Affirmative action. Time out.
You can't invoke the fucking Executive Order 11246 and then be like, no, I'm not talking about affirmative action, bro. Literally, though, you are.
Time out. You're getting too worked up here, man. Okay?
He's spurging.
Time out. Affirmative action is DEI in practice. You see, DEI is a theory.
Wasn't it struck down by Supreme Court?
Yes, and they still ignore it.
Why are you bringing it up?
Because they're still ignoring it, my friend.
So let's focus on my question I asked you.
Hold on. Let's get back to the core.
Wait, you didn't answer the question about black or excellent. I mean, fine. If you want to be on some bullshit and play games and not answer questions, that's, your right to do that. But don't dodge questions and then be like, I want you to answer my question. Why don't you answer my question? Chicken and the egg at that point. Well, of course, it was the egg. Obviously.
Which I think is very important.
Correct.
Which is, wouldn't you prefer a country built on excellence and merit,
that
not one based on forced pigmentation diversity? Why does somebody's skin color matter? No, tell me, what
a fucking clown.
differences do you as a black man and me as a white man have, and why does it matter?
Okay, so
why does it matter?
So let's look at, because again, you don't understand what DI is, and you're trying to put it in one stance.
Projection.
But which is not. So thank you. So back to this question. So an executive order, and
I thought I'm talking to you. Are you though? Sounds like you're talking to the crowd a lot.
So Thank you. So back to this question. So an executive order, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't know executive order 11246, correct? So
I mean, I have an idea of what President Trump signed, correct? But
Well,
because he got rid of that executive
right,
order.
right. And in that executive order, it says literally, y'all can Google it too. It says,
oh, we did. Don't you worry. You're still wrong.
that DEI focuses on both the workplace and hiring.
Oh,
now,
got it. So does it
now
focus
let
on
me
diversity?
explain. Now let me explain the
Does it
DEI
have the word
initiative.
diversity?
Yes,
We should not have any forced diversity, period. End of
It's
story.
not forced diversity. It does not say forced diversity,
What does
and
it
I'll
say?
put money on that too.
Does it say diversity?
It says diversity. Yes.
Well, then it's forced.
And it is a law. That's forced. Because what happens if you don't follow the law? They fucking point guns at you.
It's not forced diversity.
Then what is it? Is
Where
it
does
suggestion?
Again. We have found somebody. Oh, it doesn't say forced diversity in the thing, so there's not forced diversity. Stupid. You are not smart enough to have this conversation. You are not smart enough to have this conversation. If you were, you would realize that you know about a quarter of what you think you do, and this attitude, yeah. You wouldn't be doing that. This is Dunning-Kruger in action. This is Dunning-Kruger in action.
Does it say diversity?
It says diversity, yes.
Well, then it's forced
But it's
diversity.
not forced diversity.
Then what is it? Is it suggestion?
So
it's suggested at the foot of a gun.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm lying.
Yes, you are wrong. I will correct you. You are wrong.
Does it say forced diversity in the executive order?
But it has the word diversity.
Does it say forced diversity in
Wait,
executive
hold
order?
on, let me get this straight. Executive order.
The tattoos don't say MS13, therefore, there's no way to tell if he's a gang member.
With the word diversity.
Can I give you an
Would that
example of
not
DI
be
initiative?
forced
then?
diversity?
Let me give you an example of DI initiative so you
okay.
have a better understanding. So let's look at Google, right? Google's one of the hardest companies to actually get into. In fact, I believe there's a 0.2% chance that you actually get the job, right? They actually run a DI initiative. Their DI initiative is called a hiring committee where they have a
Nobody cares.
First group of people that
Terrible
have been
idea.
working. I mean,
Awful.
How? So you're telling me Google sucks?
Yup.
Google actually is.
Google is awful.
Honestly,
So y'all using
honestly,
Bing. Y'all using Bing.
honestly,
Y'all using
ChatGPT
Bing.
is way better than Google recently. I don't know about you guys. No,
Let's go.
but honestly, to your point
Let's
though, Google has
go.
lost its competitive edge in a lot of ways the last
How?
10 years. Hold on a second. Again, Google does a lot right, but hold on. Google has lost the social media war. Google tried to launch a Facebook competitor, an Instagram competitor, failed. They tried to also launch a Zoom and a
Let's
Skype
focus on the
competitor.
conversation.
failed.
That has no proof
Google's
that was
market
DI.
cap. Google's
You brought up Google, bro. You brought up Google. Don't try to run from it. Nobody was talking about Google until you brought it up. This is your bad, baby boy. You got a lie in it.
They try to also launch a Zoom
Let's
and a Skype
focus on the
competitor.
conversation.
Failed.
That has no proof
Google's
that was
market
DI.
cap. Google's market
You asked a direct question about Google.
cap, otherwise known as Alphabet.
Oh my God, it's not going the way I thought it was gonna go. Oh my God, bro.
It's actually missed expectations over the last 2 years versus Netflix, Amazon, and Apple and Microsoft. In fact, there was a prediction 10 years ago that Google would be the first $3 trillion company.
Right.
Turns out that it was actually Microsoft that was the first $3 trillion company.
Right,
Now, of
right,
course, Alphabet is a very good company in a lot of different ways. But if your argument right now is like, well, because one of the biggest companies on the planet has embraced a bad idea, what is your argument exactly?
They're still one of the best.
No, that's the argument. Google did it, so it must be good.
Stupid
Does that surprise you, Charlie?
companies in the
Not
world.
because of that, because they
What
were
you-
built by
look,
merit
you just
and it's
said-
being destroyed by
Exactly.
diversity.
And they use DEI
And-
to get that merit.
and-
Listen, if they're hiring,
He just doesn't understand. They use the DEI to get the merit.
what?
Huh?
And it's being destroyed by
Exactly.
diversity.
And they use DEI
And-
to get that merit.
and-
Listen, if they're hiring,
That is a screenshot right there. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, I am actually going to take a screenshot of this. Wait, did that not work? There we go. Because I am definitely using that for the thumbnail because I am clipping the fuck out of this.
It's being destroyed by
Exactly.
diversity.
and they use
Can you guys chat and make me look cooler? Because people are going to see that the chat's not going.
DEI
And-
to get that merit.
and-
Listen, if they're hiring people, yes, it makes sense. If you're doing a hiring process and you have a hiring committee that is DEI and they're hiring the people that's making the company as great as we just said, and
hasn't,
your
though.
argument is that
the point
DEI
is that
If you listened, then Google was at the top. And then, Google was at the top. And then there was DEI. And then Google went downhill. Your own argument is wrong based on your own merits. You can't make this shit up.
That's making the company as great as we just said. And your
hasn't,
argument, is that
the point
DEI
is that
takes away merit.
it does.
But if we see that Google is doing well,
it must only be because of DEI.
And they're using DEI. How the hell are you saying that DEI is not making merit?
First of all, Google.
That's like saying there's. I found a really good person. This is a good man. This is a good man. But he smokes marijuana. So this other guy who's a murderer and he smokes marijuana. That's what we call a non sequitur.
Google has not had this hiring committee around since its inception.
They have. Not since its inception, but they had it
exactly
for a while. And the people in the committee are people who's been there for a while, which is very diverse.
Secondly, you have not answered this fundamental question, though.
Go ahead.
Which
black or excellent?
Is, can you tell me when an organization gets forcibly more diverse, it gets better?
Oh, so that's a different question you didn't answer.
Google.
Again, I just proved to you. Google. Okay.
I just gave you Google.
Again,
they use DEI. Not only are they one of the best companies. Oh yeah. I hate that argument. Great.
I mean, again, it's just.
No, you just already used it and lost based on social media, based on Netflix, based on Zoom. He just told you this. Comtech said this young man seems to be all flash and no substance. Unfortunate. His charisma could do wonders if he wasn't so wrong. Well, his charisma could do numbers at a place like the Majority Report, where this is the headlining show. I don't know. He could be a Majority Report person. That would not surprise me. This is like we were saying. This takes training, and that is the type of training that we see at a Majority Report. I know you're hungry, Mort. I know you're hungry. We're almost done.
Not only are they one of the best companies. Oh yeah. I hate that argument. Great.
I mean, again, it's just they're fine. I'm not gonna like totally kind of crap on Google, but like more importantly,
I will.
And more broadly, I do think you have to answer the question.
So
why
I can't.
They took out the "don't be evil," bro. They took out "don't be evil."
Why does skin color matter at all in hiring? Answer that question.
It doesn't.
Why does skin color matter?
So if we look at basketball, because you love talking about that, right? Can we both agree that at one point there was no black athletes, and then what happened? They diversified.
We got rid of forced segregation, which is a form of DEI.
And that diversified the basketball,
because
right?
it was.
Oh my God! I'm trying to think of an example, like of an analogy of how stupid this argument is, and I can't. I can't think at this dumb of a level. So the best I've got is like, hold on, let me hear.
Of forced segregation, which is a form of.
So that's like making the argument that when you're in the tub and you put the plug in the drain, the water is not able to get in. And so the only reason that water circles the drain is because you took the plug out. Not because of gravity, not because of the physics of water, but the only reason that the water drains out of your tub is because you took the plug out. Now, if you're on the most very basic level, yes, correct. If the plug was in there, then the water couldn't get through. Just like the forced segregation, well, I don't know why, but it was forced segregation. The forced segregation of the NBA, the black people couldn't get in there. Then you remove the plug, the water's going to go down the drain. The plug has nothing to do with how the water behaves outside of the fact that it was forced to stop it. Is it good? I don't know. That's just coming off the top of my head. But it's that dumb. It's difficult to think this stupidly. First order thinking.
Black athletes. And then what happens? They diversified.
We got rid of.
First there was no black athletes, and then there was black athletes. So that means it's DEI.
Forced segregation, which is a form of DEI.
And that diversified the basketball,
because
right?
it was based on merit.
Was it diversified?
Yes, but not by force. No, hold on a second.
Very much.
Hold on, but
I got him to say diversified. This is like when that fucking voice changer dude. Oh, Zippy, are you still here? When that voice changer dude He was like, so, do you think that morality is subjective? I was like, yes, I do. So, see? Like, that's not a thing, dude. That's not a thing. You didn't do anything. I just answered your question.
Because it was based on merit.
Was it diversified?
Yes, but not by
Thank
force.
you.
No, hold on.
Thank you.
Hold on, but if your
Got
argument is that
you.
if you want to make things more merit-based, then let's do it.
It is more
No,
merit-based.
Hold on a
They
second.
made it diversifying. They diversified basketball, bringing black people who are good in it.
Nothing you're
making it
saying.
diverse.
Nothing you're saying is making any sense.
Oh, okay, I bet.
Because what they did.
Of course
is
you don't.
The NBA went.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes sense all over.
To pure merit, pure excellence. Are you good at this? That's all they cared about.
They allowed black people in, right?
Exactly, because prior.
Okay, then.
Hold on. Because you know what they had prior was a form of racial stereotyping. And
yeah, but the plug was in, right? And then you took the plug out and the water went down the drain. So the reason that water goes down the drain is because of the plug.
You want more racial stereotyping. Your worldview is indecipherable from the KKK.
So
what you want, it's indecipherable because you are race obsessed. I am not race obsessed.
No, you
talk
are,
about the
though.
race.
You
talk
are,
about race
though.
more than the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Right.
Because
I'm
you.
the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Well, think about it.
Right. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I said your
Yeah.
worldview. Think about it.
Yeah.
Because you're around talking about race all the time. I'm talking about character. Which of
You
us?
talk about race all the time. You literally said DEI is based on race when it's not.
Because
It's
I'm
DIA
explaining.
with accessibility.
And you're getting
meaning-
really upset.
My bad,
You
you're
should
right.
take
Because
a
you're
pause.
blind. For instance, right? I've been trying to say this. DI, one part of DI is literally giving women tampons or pads at work. Oh, yeah, you're laughing because you don't know that.
Giving women
Charlie-
tampons is a form of DEI.
Yes, it is. You know why? Let me explain.
All right, he's gonna explain. So all this water and drain talk has convinced me to take a bath. Damn it! What's a more manly term for bath? Shower.
Yeah, y'all know. I got you. I'm about to explain to you guys. So basically, what happens is the reason why we have DEI is the fact that in a job location, right? They want to hire more people of diverse. So what these initiatives, these goals, these aspirations that they're doing is trying to bring more people in. For instance, like
just like at my job, they got Kool-Aid in the kitchen, and that's because they want that's DEI because they want to bring black people in. I think people just want something to drink at work. And Kool-Aid is cheap. And everybody likes it. No, that's DEI, bro! Maybe, despite the fact that they are not focused on making sure they have a certain percentage of women, there are women who meritocratically get that job. And then after they get the job, considerations as to what other things they need throughout the day are made on an individual basis. And it just so happens that women have periods and need tampons. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this.
Is these initiatives, these goals, these aspirations that they're doing is trying to bring more people in. For instance, like if what's that store? Trader Joe's, right? They let people sit down while they they bring stuff in. They help disability.
What? They let people sit down while they bring stuff in? I don't know what that means.
Right? They let people sit down while they they bring stuff in.
Can somebody? I don't go to Trader Joe's. Does somebody know what he means by that? Like, I mean, Trader Joe's is pretty popular, so if that's a thing that they're known for, I fair enough if he's not going into explaining exactly what it is. But I don't know what the fuck that means.
They help disability. That's DI. That helps disabled people get a job at Trader Joe's. But what you're telling me is that we are not allowed.
Oh, he's saying that. Is he saying at Trader Joe's they're allowed to sit? The cashiers. That's DEI. Okay, fine. If that's DEI, then there are certain forms of DEI that are totally fine. But the forms of DEI that are not what you're talking about, and the forms of DEI that we're talking about that are forced segregation are bad. This does nothing for your argument. All you're doing is expanding the semantics, semantic obfuscation. You can get your own phone case or a mug. Why do they do that? A mug or a sticker, a magnet, a shirt of any one of these designs only at the Indian Jesus. Stop semantic obfuscation is my favorite one. We are seeing it right here. Stop semantic obfuscation, taking the usage or meaning of words and twisting them to make sense for whatever it is you need in the moment. It is a really bad tactic, but works really well if you can't recognize it. So now DEI means anything that makes people feel comfortable. So if you're against DEI, you're against making people comfortable. Who would be against making people comfortable? Do you see how they play with the words? That's not what DEI is. Well, listen, I asked him, then, is Trader Joe's now mandated to hire so many disabled people now? Yes, that would be a fantastic question. That would be a fantastic question.
To tell people that for like onboarding in itself is also DEI. When they explain to you,
you get a DEI and you get a DEI and you get a DEI.
Tell people that for like onboarding in itself is also DEI. When they explain to you sexual harassment, when they do all these things, when they make it more a safer place, that is DEI. And what you're saying is that the workplace shouldn't be safe. What you're saying is that more companies should.
Yes, if you define DEI as making people comfortable, then in that case, with that lexical definition, DEI equals making people comfortable, then yes, if you're against DEI, then you want the workplace to be unsafe. However, that's not what we're complaining about. That's not how people use the term DEI, and that's not anything to do with what we're talking about. So good job at failing very, very loudly.
Saying is that the workplace shouldn't be safe. What you're saying is that more companies should have discrimination lawsuits.
Let's get back.
Discrimination lawsuits.
DEI is racial quotas. End of story.
Give me one racial quota.
United
Give me one.
Airlines.
I googled that.
So
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh,
I googled it.
Okay.
I googled it. I googled it. I googled it.
Hey, great.
Yes.
So
go ahead. Continue.
What did United Airlines
shirt down? You're in front of a fucking crowd of people. Why do they do
you
that?
know what I said about black pilots. What did they announce when it came to pilots? And why should skin color matter when you board an airplane?
So just to remind everybody, is Charlie Kirk's idea. He basically, stop talking. So Charlie Kirk basically.
You stop talking. Why don't you go away? Actually, please don't. This is great content.
Ooh, that's very.
If you are new here, hit that like and subscribe for more.
That's very misogynist. That's not very DEI of you.
All right, let me finish cooking. So, right.
You said cooking. Oh. Yeah, you're cooking on the stove, and Charlie is the chef, motherfucker. You cooking like a roast beef. Oh my God.
DEI of you.
All right, let me finish cooking. So, right.
I thought you were gonna finish cooking. Let's go. We waiting.
So, can I finish?
Nobody's stopping you, bro.
Charlie Kirk said that they're basically hiring women of color to make 40 or 50%, right? But when you actually look into it, what happens is
women and people of color.
Right, women and people of color. What happens is they're creating a program that's allowing women to train to become pilots. If you actually look at the requirements for these programs, it's nothing different than any other program that trains pilots.
Then why do we need it? Why was it invented? Why was it put in place? If it's not any different, well, I was born in '89, but I'm pretty sure we've had commercial airlines a little bit longer than that. So why do we need this program?
For this program is nothing different than any other program that trains pilots. But you told people that they're just hiring women when that's not true.
First of all, I never said that.
Yes, you did. I did a video on it, guy.
Yes, I know what I said. Secondly, when you hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising the standards of excellence.
They're not hiring based.
Well, I mean, if you did a video on it, well, I mean, excuse me, sir. Pardon. I did a video on it, bro. Because nobody who does YouTube videos is ever wrong.
When you hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising the standards of excellence.
They're not hiring based
on. What do you mean? maybe if you listen to Charlie instead of the crowd, instead of dancing around, instead of, oh, bro, yeah, fucking acting the fucking fool in front of everyone, maybe you'll understand. I don't know. Usually that's how language works.
When you hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising the
What
standards
do you
of
mean?
excellence.
They're not hiring based
Allow
on
me
race,
to
though.
finish without interrupting.
All right, go ahead,
When you
Lodge.
hire based on race and not on excellence, you end up compromising excellence to be able to pursue race. We know this with Harvard, University of California. We know this with major companies. We
Affirmative
know this
action
with the
again.
government. Exactly. DEI, that is affirmative action is DEI philosophy
It's been
in
struck down
practice.
already. You're bringing OJ has been
Allow
struck
me
down.
to finish
That's
my
crazy.
statement.
Go
They
ahead.
are actively defying the Supreme Court decision, or they're contorting their policies to try to fit their own
Right.
DEI agenda. But
Right.
let me ask you a question. If you were to board a United
Wait,
Airlines,
I ain't get the finish. Go ahead.
if you were to board a flight with United Airlines, would
All right, guys. I have a poll before we go. And it might get me in trouble, but it's anonymous for you. So give me your real thoughts.
let me ask you a question.
There's 6 people here. I expect at least 5 votes.
If you were to board a United
Wait,
Airlines,
I ain't get the finish. Go ahead.
if you were to board a flight agenda, but let me ask you a question. If you were to board a United
Wait,
Airlines,
I ain't get the finish. Go ahead.
if you were to board a flight with United Airlines, would you rather have a pilot that is qualified or one that is diverse? Answer the question.
Wait, that makes no sense. Why is there?
He's too stupid to have the conversation because the obvious answer, well, I mean, not the obvious answer, but the obvious, well, yes, the obvious answer is excellent, and that doesn't preclude black people. But he is he is going to show his own racism. But I mean, like, why would it be black? Or why would it not be, why would they be different? Nobody said they were different. We were saying, what are you using to hire?
Diverse. Answer the
qualified
question.
That makes
or diverse?
no sense. Why is there two different things? How is it different? When you go to American Airlines,
Because in the pursuit of diversity, in the pursuit of diversity, you sacrifice excellence every time. We know this with Harvard. We know this with Yale. We know this with the military. Every time, every example that we pursue diversity, an institution becomes less excellent.
So
it becomes subpar.
when you go on a plane, do you go to the pilot and ask for their credentials, or do you believe that the airline did the right thing and hired the right? So you ask.
No, I don't.
So it used to be that we trusted the institutions, and then they implemented these things that gave us a reason to see a white man as the captain and know that he earned it. But we see a woman or a black person or an Indian person or anyone else, and we don't know if they were just given the job to meet quotas. Your ilk, this mentality created what you would call racism, but I mean, I think it's just heightened awareness of cultural disparity.
Credentials, or do you believe that the airline did the right thing and hired the right? So you ask.
No,
for
I
their
don't.
credentials.
Actually,
you don't.
I'm starting
You don't.
to.
So
well, hold on.
so
I
for
start to
some
doubt
reason,
it.
we
That
can
was
have
my
both
statement.
diversity and
That
merit
was my
things.
statement. My
Right.
statement was when you're going to if you're going to go from 4% of the pilots being black to 50% of the pilots to be black,
I'm gonna fucking wonder.
begs the question: you are going to lower the standards.
So my
you are
question
going you're going to put a square peg through a round hole. You are going to force something that naturally is not happening, and you will all of a sudden be playing a very treacherous and dangerous game when you board a plane. When I get heart surgery or if I board a plane, I don't care about the color of the skin of the person doing it. I want excellence and I want meritocracy.
Yes. So
yes, but I completely disagree with you. But yes, but also, but projection, retardation, it's all there.
Oh, so stop talking. Are you talking? So let's get back
to
the
microphone. Wow, only one of you has the balls. Oh, a bunch of bitches in the chat tonight. 1 vote on the poll. You guys are bitches. It's anonymous.
because you're talking a lot.
Final point, then I'll get to the next question.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so again, going back to what you said, because like I said earlier ago, you said, and I forgot this is ISU, you basically said that that women are being hired to become pilots, right? Now, first, that's a lie. That's based on a program. Second, correct me if I'm wrong, becoming a pilot, is based on skill, correct? It's not based on height. It's not based on physicality. It's based on nothing. It's based on skill, meaning
Not
that
always.
if you're being, so what is it?
Nope. Hit the fucking poll. We're not doing this. This is about to be over. So we can end the show here or we can hear the rest of what he says, but I need votes on that poll. Is this an example of black fatigue? Yes or no? This is just an annoying dude. I can watch this on my own time. I know I'll have my own commentary there. If you guys want to see it, then hit the poll. If not, then all right. I guess that's the end of the show. But nope. All right. All right. Fair enough. Well, thank you so very, very much, guys. I wanted to see what this guy had to say, but I guess you guys don't care that much. Big shout out to Guam Tech, and of course, our sponsor of the stream, Indie Film. Thank you so much. I'm not bluffing, guys. Come on. There's 2 minutes. There's 2.5 minutes. There's 2.5 minutes. Just hit an answer on the poll. Nobody will ever know. It is anonymous. I don't understand why you're doing this. All right, we'll just sit. I'll sit here in silence. Whatever. Actually, you know what? I'm going to watch it myself. Why am I fucking waiting for you guys? Mm-hmm. Yep. Got him. Projection. If you guys want to see the video that I'm reacting to, just hit the fucking poll. That was bad projection. Mm-hmm. Why are you guys still here? Damn. All right. So what I'm gonna do is end the stream on YouTube, and I guess I'll keep Rumble open if anybody, because I want to record this for my shit. Yep. I don't understand what just happened. Why did you guys decide to sit here and just watch me watch TV instead of just clicking the button so that we could both watch? I don't understand why you did that. Can someone explain why that was a thing that you thought was? Did you think I was bluffing or genuinely? Because if you'd left, I'd understand that. But you're sitting here watching me watch TV, and I'm willing to share that with you. If you just you click a button, and I think it's a poignant question. But whatever. Thank you very much for hanging out, guys. I'll do this, and I'll just cut around it. So once again, that is Morty, and I have been your host, Lech, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace. All right, so we are leaving YouTube. Don't delete.